Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown. Joining me is Andrew Meadows. How you doing, sir?
Not in the flesh, in the virtual flesh.
The virtual flesh, yes. As we typically do these things.
That's
rarely
right.
we get together and, if we can find two microphone cables that are functional, then sometimes we can record in the same room together. But alas, that is not the story tonight. We are indeed in the virtual flesh. So what's going on over in your neck of the woods? Everything going okay? Having fun? Doing all right? Dad life? All that good stuff?
Dad life, and yeah. This particular episode was hard for me to. It was just difficult for me to go and do.
Yeah, you had to carve out the time and couldn't. I think you had several unsuccessful attempts at seeing the movie.
That's right.
This episode is centered around.
As many listeners know, we are both AMC A-Stub members. Premium shit. It's like we walk in with a press pass around our neck. And,
that's right.
It's a baby. There's a baby here.
Oh my!
There's
goodness.
a baby here.
Oh, it's
there, little man.
Oh, okay. I didn't put that
what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He looks happy.
What are you doing there, bud?
Bennett, do you have anything to say about making things difficult for your dad trying to see this movie we're talking about, The Creator? What do you have to say about that?
Hey, he's not making any noises.
No,
he's just
nothing
smiling.
To say, huh? Speechless. He's speechless.
Speechless about it.
He's all smiles. He thinks this is a laughing matter, but he'll learn. He will learn. This is no laughing matter. This is podcasting. This is serious business.
This is podcasting. Yeah.
Hey,
So, yeah. It was hard for me to go see. I used up all three of my AMC's passes or whatever.
Yeah.
All three to try to go see this movie.
But third time was the charm, right?
Third time was the charm. I did go see it. Went and saw it very recently. And, here we are to record a podcast. I'm excited about it.
And the follow-up question, which I think probably makes sense after our last regular episode is, did you watch the whole film?
I did. I did not fall asleep.
All right.
I didn't even get drowsy.
Repeat on that front. Oh,
it also helps that I
riveting.
didn't.
Maybe it was. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that.
I also didn't drink any beer or have any food. I just went to the movie theaters, went straight in and sat and watched a movie, which is
2+ hours in, and you're out. That's it.
It's a exceedingly rare experience for me. Usually I buy a brew when I go to the movies.
Sure. Well, we are indeed talking about The Creator on this episode. We're a few weeks late to the party, I think, with this one. Came out towards the end of September. We are fully in the midst of October as of recording this. We probably got pushed back a week or so because of the issues with recording on A Haunting in Venice that we sort of discussed during the second half of that episode. But yeah, I mean, just finding the time to do it even for me was kind of the same thing. I had tickets scheduled for one day, and then, we had a conflict, had to switch it to the next day. And then there was potential that maybe it was going to get canceled in favor of Taylor Swift shows getting added, but it actually went off. So we were able to see it in IMAX right before it left. And it's like last IMAX showing locally. So yeah, it was a little bit of a process, a project for me to watch. But even though we're a little bit late, I think it's certainly a film that I think will be interesting to talk about. A lot of interesting aspects to this film for sure. So I want to, I guess, before we go any further, before we offer up a fun fact or anything like that, I think it's a good time. Since this is the first full regular episode that we've recorded since we've done our most recent bonus episode, I think it's a good time to talk about what's going on that front. So for those who have been following along for the past, I don't know, month, 2 months or whatever, we've been doing a series of bonus episodes on historical epics. We started off with Troy. We started off with Gladiator after that. Both Troy and Gladiator are up on the regular feed by the time this is up on the regular feed, so hopefully everyone's had a chance to listen to both of those bonus episodes, a little shorter than the ones that we've been pumping out lately, like an hour plus. A little bit more bite-sized, maybe like normal sized for most podcast lengths, but for us, it's baby-sized, Bennett-sized, one might say. And we recorded a third one on Lawrence of Arabia. So
boy,
swords and sandals in ancient times, and then we jumped over to swords and sandals in modern times, but not modern times in terms of the filmmaking. You know, we went back to the 60s for when that film was made and released, and it was a fun one. It was relative to Troy and Gladiator, that was the first time that either Andrew or myself had seen Lawrence of Arabia, a big cinematic blind spot for us, given the stature of that film in cinematic history. So it was a really, really fun episode to record. Obviously, a very fun movie to have watched beforehand. So if you want to listen to our Lawrence of Arabia bonus episode before anyone else, what you can do is head to patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. If you chip in $2 a month, $2 a month, you will get access to that bonus episode as well as all future bonus episodes that we put up. They go up on Patreon on a timed exclusive basis. And you'll also get early access to all of our regular episodes. So again, that's patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. Check it out. And we don't have our next project in the Epics series lined up just yet. I think the last conversation Andrew and I had was, Andrew said, give me a few options, and then I'll pick from that. And I have yet to give him a few options. So I've been slacking is what I'll say. So we'll figure it out. And, probably the next time we record, we'll have something locked in, and we'll make arrangements to have it ready to be watched, to be recorded on, etc. and stuff. So yeah, stay tuned on that front. But anyway, I know you seem like you're multitasking a little bit right now. Looks like
Bennett's hungry, so we can just give him.
He's enjoying some supper right now, but would you be able to deliver a fun fact while simultaneously feeding your baby? Is that something that you're capable of pulling off?
Can you believe that? Oh,
struggling already. Got distracted.
Apparently, I can't.
I don't know. What am I? What should I be incredulous about? Tell me.
This sci-fi film that we are covering
the Creator.
Tonight,
that's
yes,
the one.
Yep, has a budget of $80 million.
Yeah.
To put that into comparison, there you
go.
To put this into comparison,
with some other films maybe that have come out recently.
That's
this
right.
year or whatever.
Oppenheimer had a budget of $100 million, not $1 million, $100 million
for that film. $100 million for Oppenheimer, sure.
Okay, a historical
epic
biopic with a big bomb.
Right.
One big bomb.
A bit more. Right. Yep.
What
about
Barbie?
Anything else? Yeah. Okay. Barbie.
Barbie has a budget of $146 million. All
right.
A movie about
not quite double, but pretty close.
Pretty close. That's the extent of my comparisons. Do you have any comparisons to 80 million?
Well, I think that you could probably go to your superhero movies. I think it's probably a good place to check out. So I'm thinking, why don't we say Ant-Man? Why don't we try and figure out what Ant-Man's budget was? Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania had a listed budget of, you want to take a guess? Want to take a stab at what it might have been?
$250.
$200 million.
Okay.
So we're talking more than double, close to triple. Not quite there, but close to it. The Flash. What do you think the Flash reported budget was?
Oh my gosh. After reshoots and shit?
After everything that went into it. Again,
it's got to be...
Who knows if it's actually true, but...
$375.
All right. A little overshooting it. This is also listed at 200 to 220, but again... maybe they're underreporting. It
didn't look like that, but
it sure didn't look like that. I think maybe the most stark comparison that we could make. What do you think the mini series over on Disney Plus, Secret Invasion, had as a budget?
That looked like it probably had a budget of Oppenheimer. I'd say Oppenheimer level, $100 million.
$100 million, $212 million.
Oof.
Secret Invasion had a $200+ million budget.
Ooh, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's a lot of money that is not visible on the screen. And the creator, I think maybe the point that you're making is, I mean, yeah, $80 million is a lot of money. Let's not sugarcoat that. But in terms of Hollywood speak, in terms of, film budgets and stuff, it's probably on the lower scale in general these days. But it's very, very much on the lower scale for sci-fi movies and ones
Absolutely.
that are, as full-on sci-fi as this. It's not just a little window dressing of sci-fi. This is a completely developed future world with fully functional robots and stuff and robot people and whatnot. And it's a wonder that $80 million can get you a film that looks like this, and $200 million gets you The Flash, Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Right.
and Secret Invasion. It's truly mind-blowing that
it's
this should be the standard, and yet clearly it is not. It is the exception for some reason. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to talk about that in terms of how the hell did they do that. But no, that's a really interesting fun fact. I mean, it's incredibly impressive. Obviously, we will absolutely be talking about it when we talk about the movie. But you could say that
it's mind-boggling.
Had a $240 million budget, and I'd be like, yeah. I mean, they shouldn't have spent that much money on this film because clearly it's not making enough or whatever for that. But $240 million, I buy it. It looks like $240 million on the screen. Okay, yeah.
You tell me Secret Invasion has a budget of $212.
If I told you before, you looked anything up, I told you Secret Invasion had $212 million as budget, you'd say, well, this is $500 million, is what you would probably say. It's like they spent half
Right.
$1 billion on this thing. They spent Avatar, level of money on this shit.
Right.
But
yeah.
anyways.
So it's the I mean, you can watch the trailers and see, just kind of see the level of
the fidelity,
the technicality.
of it is just-
Exactly, the fidelity. It's truly astounding.
This is PS5 shit. The Flash was rocking its PS3 level shit.
Absolutely, for sure.
This might even be
the
a
baby
high-end
scene.
PC. Maybe Avatar: The Way of Water is your high-end PCs. Like that's top of the line shit. How to Train Your Dragon sand technology is top of the line PC shit. So I don't know. Anyway, you ready to talk some headlines?
Let's talk some headlines. What do we got this time?
Well, the writer's strike is over, but we still only have 2 headlines on tap. But that's okay because it's one more than we had last time, and we don't have an in memoriam section on this particular episode.
Wow!
I almost certainly overlooked someone dying, and so I apologize to that person who I've unintentionally slighted. But we're going straight into headlines, and that's just the way it's going to be. Whatever happens, happens. So I mentioned Taylor Swift already. It will not be the last time that Taylor Swift comes up. But Taylor Swift is no longer alone in getting into the concert film sweepstakes or just frenzy. I don't even know how to put it, because Beyonce put out a trailer recently. We didn't actually send you the trailer. I'm just more kind of generating this as a headline of here's the new trend, right? She's putting out Renaissance, a film by Beyonce. It's coming to theaters December 1st. Pre-sales have already gone live at AMC, Regal, Cinemark, your big theater chains and whatnot. And, I think, as we'll talk about later when we do some box office stuff, maybe it's a really good idea, to do something like this, to take full advantage of a world where, we still have an actors strike going on, and you have movies like Dune Part 2 being moved around so that, they can be fully properly promoted, whereas you have something like this, it's not exactly the same sort of thing. You're not thinking about Beyonce or Taylor Swift as members of SAG-AFTRA, the guild, you know what I mean? So it kind of operates outside of those bounds, and you're talking about artists who have concerts that sell tickets for hundreds and hundreds of dollars, which kind of prices out a lot of people, a lot of their fans. So yeah, Beyonce is joining the party. She's bringing out Renaissance in December. So yeah, it's I think it's described as a hybrid project where I think it's a concert film and maybe like a pseudo music video type thing as well. Which, to be fair, I still don't fully know what I mean. As far as I know, the Taylor Swift one is still just like a version
straight
of
up concert. Right.
Yeah. So this is that with maybe a little bit else kind of put into it too. So anyway, what do you think? Is this? I mean, I know you expressed interest in Taylor Swift. I don't know if your household is a big Beyonce household, but what do you think? If you have any thoughts?
Hey, if she wants to get in on it, then more power to her. If it puts people in seats, that's what it's about.
Yeah,
Taylor certainly did.
She sure did. We'll talk about it, but yeah. So basically, okay. So I have a little bit of follow up. It is a amalgamation of the creation of her most recent album, Renaissance. It is partially the visual album that I guess was released alongside Renaissance, and then it's also footage from the tour that she went on in support of the album. So it's kind of a big project, kind of covering a few different things, which is pretty cool.
Something a little different.
Yeah. So yeah, it's different certainly than what Taylor's done with the Eras Tour film that she put out. But this is something to note. Beyonce and Taylor Swift are apparently receiving more than 50% of their total box office grosses for these.
Are they really?
They're making a fucking killing. Like, obviously they're making a killing with their tours and stuff, and I'm sure record sales to a lesser extent, but yeah, no, this is a really good financial incentive for these artists, who can, who have the sort of demand where something like this makes sense. Not every artist, I think, would make sense to have a concert film being distributed, nationwide or internationally, but certainly Taylor Swift and Beyonce have that sort of level of appeal. So yeah, we'll see who wins, between Taylor and Beyonce. I could be a toss up. You don't know. I mean,
there a big
Taylor set the bar high, so we'll see.
There was a big thing between Beyonce and Taylor Swift a long time ago, I think. Kanye said that Beyonce should have won the...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Yeah, that's true.
How ironic.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any sort of rivalry or enmity, or if it's just Kanye's crazy ass interjecting. I don't know. But anyway, we will see who is the box office victor at the end of the year. We'll wait and see. But moving on to our second headline. Now that the writer's strike has come and gone, we're getting some insight into how certain projects are kind of getting restarted. So there's a really interesting article over at The Hollywood Reporter that lends some insight into what Marvel Studios is doing with their TV business. And the short of it is they're going to be doing things differently moving forward. And it actually includes some of the projects that were ongoing that had to be suspended during the writer's strike, during the actor's strike, because they couldn't write or they couldn't film, etc. But basically, Marvel has now kind of, decided, instead of doing how they were doing things before, which was making these really kind of in effect mini movies. You know what I mean? Like 6-episode mini movies. You think about The Falcon and the Winter Soldiers, even Secret Invasion, to talk about that, coming out this year too. They've decided to kind of really totally restructure it and embrace what you would kind of think of as the traditional TV making model, which is to say hiring showrunners to have a, creative oversight of everything. Right now they've been very director driven, where the directors have the most creative insight and the most creative control. So they're changing that. They're going to have actual showrunners basically from day one, be the creative lead on everything and have that sort of insight, which again is how every other show on every other network has been made. And obviously the best shows, have kind of been successful using that model.
Right.
So some of this kind of, I think, stemmed from the lackluster reaction to Secret Invasion. I think in somewhat its response, they basically, She-Hulk, when it was in post-production, had like one creative force, and they were like, oh, this is actually kind of something that works and seems to make sense. Maybe we should try to do this. But yeah, Secret Invasion, I think, really was kind of a breaking point, where they had a writer that was on it initially. They basically fired him, brought someone else in, and they kind of Frankensteined the series together a little bit, is what it sounds like. And there wasn't like a real clear creative vision or direction of how they wanted to do it. And I think at the end of the day, it kind of showed when you watch the final product of just like, that was it. Okay. that wasn't exactly the most riveting or exciting or and this was $212 million. Did Sam Jackson get $200 million and Ben Mendelsohn got the other 12? Is that what happened here?
Right. What'd you spend on that alien?
A little bit of that. Yeah. Well, they ran out of budget for the finale. Clearly,
is that what happened?
Because they didn't allocate much of the $212 million towards the visual effects in there. You know, they were just like, fuck it, we'll just Ant-Man it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll make it work. But yeah, moving forward, they're going to get away from limited series. They're going to do more serialized storytelling, multi-season serialized storytelling, a la Loki, which is in the midst of airing its second season right now, actually. But the project that we know has been most affected by this change already is Daredevil Born Again.
Ooh.
And so the big news on Daredevil Born Again, they had shot fewer than half of the series, 18 episodes. But basically, during the writer's strike and the actor's strike, as they had the time to basically sit and review footage and kind of, look at what they had without having the ability to move forward. The way this article actually puts it is Kevin Feige basically looked at it and said, this show's not working. So in September, they fired the head writers of the show. They released all of the directors for the remainder of the season that they had already booked, and they are doing what is now being billed a significant creative reboot of the series. They're on the hunt for new writers and directors. I think all the actors are still locked in under contract and stuff, but it sounds like they're kind of hitting reset a little bit in terms of what they're going to be doing with the show. So some of the details that have kind of come out, in the wake of this story, kind of. Honestly, I say all that and it sounds like, oh my God, this is a disaster waiting to happen. This feels like a really, really bad idea to just kind of, fire people halfway through making a thing and then figure it out after. It's like, that doesn't seem like a good thing. But I will say, based on some of the details that have come out, it kind of sounds like maybe this isn't the worst thing. So what sources are saying about what the original version of Born Again was that we will not be getting anymore is that it very much did not resemble the Netflix version with, the action, the violence, and stuff like that. Charlie Cox reportedly did not show up in costume as Daredevil until the 4th episode of the season. And so I think that I think there was this thing that it was really supposed to be a big legal procedural sort of thing. And it's like, well, I mean, you got that a little bit with She-Hulk, like a comedic version of that. And so it's kind of just like, and I will say there's this other rumor, which may or may not be true and may or may not be true of the actual series. So potential spoilers. But that in the pilot episode, they would have killed off both Foggy Nelson and Karen Page. And that would be the motivation for why Matt Murdock is not suiting up anymore, I guess, is because his personal life is in such turmoil. And it's just like, if you just want to piss everyone off, that's one way to do it. I wouldn't recommend that. That feels like a big middle finger to audiences and people that like the Netflix show. But the reason that people liked the Netflix show is because it was fucking good. That's right. It was comic booky, it was actiony, it was violent, and the costume itself sort of thing isn't a big deal. Like, dude wore a black suit for 2 out of 3 seasons, basically.
That's okay.
That was okay. But he was still in that fucking black suit, beating the shit out of people and whatnot. And the characters were enjoyable, lovable. Foggy was annoying sometimes, but the dynamic between Matt and Foggy was a big driving force. The interest. The love interest, angle with Karen for a little bit, and then just kind of, people like that show for a reason. And it does kind of feel like, all right, so you're not making literally season 4, but like, if you're talking about this idea of going away from making Law and Order Daredevil style to, we want to make a pseudo season 4 Daredevil or something that's closer in tone and feel and style to the Netflix show, that to me is a good thing. You know what I mean? Like that to me reads as, okay, maybe you shouldn't have greenlit the fucking, version of it, that wasn't working in the first place. Someone had to read those scripts and say, yep, we're signing off on this. but maybe, maybe the writer's strike is a sort of blessing in disguise here. For the most part, most shows were affected Heroes style, with the last round of writer strikes where it just completely tanked fucking shows. But maybe you can look at this as a silver lining of, obviously, the big gains for the writers is your biggest takeaway of, hey, more money and residuals, et cetera, and AI protections, et cetera. But basically, hey, if it also has the benefit of making shows that maybe weren't going to be great better, if, for example, they had this had happened in the midst of Secret Invasion, and then they're like, this show kind of fucking sucks. Let's just chuck it. Let's just chuck it in the bin. Like maybe we would have been better off for it. Instead, we kind of got the weird bullshit Frankenstein version that, I don't know, wasn't terribly impressive. That kind of felt like no one really wanted to do anything with, and they ultimately really just didn't. It just kind of exists. 6 episodes of $200+ million thrown at nothing, effectively. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about all this? All that, the new approach, Daredevil specifically. You have any thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I think they've pumped out shows, quite a few shows since debuting Disney Plus, and I feel like they're not as consistently good as they could be.
Yes, I agree.
I think
like they kind of, I don't know, like WandaVision felt like a hot start out the gate. Falcon wasn't much, but Loki was. It kind of felt like they had a really strong start. And even Star Wars is kind of the same way too, to a lesser extent. Like obviously it's not necessarily Marvel Studios, but it's this Disney Plus approach. It just kind of feels like almost, it really did at a certain point turn from quality content to quantity of content.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
So I think putting, having one person or having your showrunner in charge of the projects. I think having one person in charge of the projects is important. But the person being in charge being the person that's crafted the story in a lot of cases, I think is probably important. Or crafting the story for film, I guess, or for shows or for whatever. The narrative drive of the movie, having that person be in charge of how the movie or the show progresses, I think is important. I think it's a good idea.
You want to have a unique vision, voice that's kind of guiding the whole process. That's, otherwise it's just an assembly line sort of thing, and sometimes that really shows with the final product.
Sure. And it's a person that presumably understands the content the best,
Right.
So,
find
anyways,
someone that has the right vision for the job, and that's why you hire him is to execute a vision and see it from hit the ground running and do it from day one to the end. See it through to the end. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem like it would be a wild concept, but for Marvel apparently it is. So hey, what are you gonna do?
But kudos for them for bringing Benson and Moorhead on
Loki, right?
Yeah. So those guys are okay. You can keep them as director-centric people in charge.
Well, at the end of the day, you still have to hire directors. Like your showrunner is not going to direct every episode necessarily. They're not going to write every episode necessarily. Like you're going to have a writer's room. You're going to have people, and you can't make something with one person. No. But you can have that one. You can have your James Cameron. You can have someone like that where it's like, they know what they're fucking doing. They know who they want to hire. They know who they want involved on this. They know who they want to cast for certain things. And like they should have the ability to exercise that level of control, but at the same time, you need other people to kind of help them get there, get there.
Right.
So, Kevin Feige couldn't have made all this shit himself. Kevin Feige is successful because he has assembled a very, very talented group of people, and struck gold with your Johnny V's and whatnot,
That's right.
So yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens for the future of, Marvel Studios in terms of TV. Obviously, we're still with Loki and maybe some other stuff that was kind of in the works. I think Echo is another one that I think has been done. It comes out in January, I believe. And hello. I said Echo. Oh no, don't do it again. She started speaking to me. That's going to be a real problem. I'm going to have to unplug Echo. If we do an episode on it, she didn't go off that time.
That'd be terrible.
I'm gonna have to reprogram her to go by Alexa. Okay. It's like, say she didn't respond to that, but anyway, yeah, that's gonna be a real problem. Glad we're figuring that out now. But anyway, yeah, some other shows coming up that will still be kind of under the old way of doing things, but then maybe there will be kind of a point, where maybe there's a gap in time, but then maybe the product will be better. Maybe the shows will be better and more worth the time investment and whatnot. So yeah, there you have it. A couple headlines for you there. And we've got, 8 trailers on tap. It might sound like, maybe we'll be here a while, but we got some good ones in here. We've got some ones that we'll talk about. So we're gonna kick off with some Godzilla action. Okay, Japanese Godzilla action. Gojira, you could say. So Godzilla -1 is the next Japanese directed, Japanese production version of Godzilla. We got a trailer for it, an official trailer for it. It is coming to cinemas in America in December. What did you think about this trailer? It
reminded me of that one Godzilla that one Godzilla where he starts off as like a big worm.
Shin Godzilla, I think. I feel like that's the last Japanese-made Godzilla.
Maybe that's the only reason why it reminded me of that. It's probably because they're both Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking Godzilla, man. I like Godzilla. I don't quite understand the -1.
I don't know. It feels like a weird Japanese thing, and I don't say that pejoratively, but yeah, the description is this is post war, so I don't know if it's post World War II. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, after the nuke.
This is after they've been devastated with World War II. The way that it is described is their economic state has been reduced to zero, and then Godzilla shows up and plunges the country into a negative state. So there's the -1. It's still a little silly and a weird Japanese sort of thing. I feel, but
the best thing you can come up
I guess
with.
That's the idea.
Anyways,
I don't know. It looks like a Godzilla movie.
That's right.
I think so. It seems like. It seems like there's only so much you can do with Godzilla without it just obviously kind of feeling samey in a certain sort of way. And I think that's true regardless of whether you're doing it as an American version or as a Japanese version. I felt like Shin Godzilla had a really unique angle with kind of the metamorphosis of the Godzilla throughout the film. And the whole movie was just kind of just like, what the fuck is this thing? And then it develops into big, scary, city wrecking Godzilla.
Little arms.
Was like yeah, right. It was like kind of just like a derpy looking thing, for a bit. You're like, well, that's not threatening. That's just a weird, fucked up looking thing. And this to me seems more traditional Godzilla wrecking shit sort of thing. So, whereas I think Shin Godzilla had that kind of unique wrinkle that made it interesting. I'm not sure what the wrinkle is here, or is this just
Godzilla movie?
Another Godzilla movie, right? I think it looks well shot. I mean, the effects look pretty good from what I saw and everything. So I mean, we'll see. I think that there's really no reason it can't be good. I'm just curious if it's going to have something about it that makes it stand apart from the 30,000 other Godzilla films. 37th film in the Godzilla franchise. Okay, there's a lot of Godzilla versus there's a Mecha Godzilla. We did get Mecha Godzilla recently, and then Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, we did.
But what's the thing here? Is there a thing? If so, what is it? That's what I'm curious about. So we'll see. I'll wait for reviews and stuff, and we'll see if this is something we cover or anything like that. But maybe it's something, maybe it's not. Who's to say? I don't know. I'm kind of down the middle on it. Like, we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's how I feel about it. Is that about where you're at?
Yes. It's fucking Godzilla, man. Okay. I'll watch it.
Godzilla's pretty cool. All right, maybe we've seen it before, but it's still pretty cool. So, yeah. Well, I think this next one is something that may appeal to you. It's a Studio Ghibli film. It is possibly the final effort from Hayao Miyazaki.
He's going to be pretty old.
It's called The Boy and the Heron. He's getting up there in age, that's for sure. And I feel like he's already retired like 7 times before. So it might be for realsies this time.
And this one sounds like it's got to do with like death and stuff too. So,
yep. Yeah, it's
going to be heavy.
When I think of Miyazaki Ghibli films, obviously I usually think there's like a really emotionally resonant message. But this still looked it still almost looked darker to me than I expected. Certainly also from the title. The Boy and the Heron to me doesn't make it feel like a big introspective piece. But this teaser definitely did, I think, more so. So,
yeah.
I mean, what do you think? You're more well versed in the Ghibli stuff than I am. We obviously took a little bit of a dive. We did one bonus episode covering, I think, the 1980s of Studio Ghibli, but I think you've watched most, if not all, of the Ghibli output. So So you're the resident expert. What do you think about this one? Is this going to deliver?
I think so. Definitely. Yeah, the music looks good. It has like that element of like the unknown and mysticism, you know, like when he like approaches that. I really like how he approached that library and all the lights turned on, you know, all the way down. That looks really cool. Looks like you got some like what's the poppy field one?
Oh,
can't remember.
Yeah, no, I think is it one of the ones we talked about?
Yeah, if not Firefly.
Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies. Yeah, there's like that sequence where these run. I mean, Miyazaki's a fucking legend, dude. He's a awesome storyteller. He's got a vision. He is definitely an auteur, especially when you get into the messages of his movies and the way they're executed, the way they look. They're just they're really, really, really something special. So I think I don't think this is going to be any different. I think this is going to be a very powerful movie.
Yes,
very excited to watch it.
Yeah, the literal Japanese the translation of the Japanese title is "How Do You Live?" And to me, I look at this trailer and I'm like, that's a movie called How Do You Live? I don't see it as a movie called The Boy and the Heron. But
that's true.
I may be proven wrong. It's not what I expected. It really is not what I expected from even, a Ghibli Miyazaki thing, but it also made me simultaneously just as excited to be like, I legitimately do not know what to expect. I mean, so something we talked about, I think, when they announced that this was coming to North America was, the way they marketed it in Japan was they did not do trailers. They did not do posters until it came out. It was basically just, you Japanese audiences will be sold on the fact that this is a Studio Ghibli film from Hayao Miyazaki, and your asses will show up. And they did. And it got great reviews and everything. It made a shit ton of money in Japan. Obviously, here they decided, all right, well, maybe it doesn't have quite the same level of appeal in North America as it does in Japan. But they put out a trailer and stuff. But at the same time, it's a trailer that is a good, effective teaser trailer of not being like, here's the movie. It's like, nope, I have no clue what this movie is still, but it looks pretty. So that's where I'm at with it. So it is. Let's see, it's going to be dropping in theaters in North America, I think soon. I think they said December 8th. December 8th is when it's going to come out in theaters here. So there you go.
All
right. Moving on. Really sharp transition coming up here. Aquaman is back. We're getting an Aquaman sequel called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This movie is 2 months away, and they decided to drop a trailer finally. I guess they did technically drop it in September, a few months ahead of time, but they certainly haven't been full steam ahead with the marketing campaign for this movie. But now they are. We got an almost 3-minute trailer for Aquaman 2. Jason Momoa's back. Most everyone's back. Amber Heard is mostly buried. I think she's in one frame of this entire trailer, which is probably how much she's actually in the movie would be my guess. But it's more Aquaman. He's fighting Black Manta again. He's swimming around. There's Atlantis. There's other things going on. Nicole Kidman's back. She loves cinema and whatnot. Anyone that goes to AMC knows a lot about that. She goes there to be entertained, as I recall. What do you think? What do you think about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? Is this on your radar now?
I know what I will not be going to watch on Christmas. That's what I know.
Okay. This is not how you're spending Christmas. Okay.
No.
Interesting that you would say that. It is coming to theaters December 20th, so you'd have 4 days leading up to Christmas if you changed your mind.
Oh, okay.
Or you could just get it, so you don't have to actually wait till the 25th. You can go see it the 20th or the 20th, 21st, 22nd.
Maybe. I thought for some reason 4th? I thought it said Christmas. Said something
probably
about
did
Christmas.
In the trailer. Anytime it's like within a week of Christmas, they just round it up and be like, it's Christmas that it comes out on. But also you can see it on other days if you want. It's up to you. Some people don't want to go to the theater on Christmas, although a lot of people do. So you're not loving it.
No, I think this looks vaguely like shit. I think
only vaguely though.
Yeah,
not total shit, just kind of shit.
I see. I'm hesitant to say it's going to be shit because the last one wasn't totally shit. Like it was serviceable.
The first Aquaman, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was totally fun. It was like fun and enjoyable, and
it's like whatever.
Kind of, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad.
This looks like it could be shit. So, especially like the first half of this trailer, like he's like walking around inside this house, and his dad's house, and he's like, I'm not quite sure what he's doing. It's like doing like laundry and stuff. It's like, what are we doing here, man? What's going on?
He's got a baby though. Aqua Dad doesn't appeal to you?
No, not really. I don't think so. I'm not interested in that.
I have enough to deal with actually having a kid. I don't need to see fucking superhero stories about, people dadding about. I mean, come on.
Yeah, put him in a bubble. He'll be fine. And like an air bubble, somebody. But
well, I mean, it's one of those things. Like Aquaman's going to do shit, so that kid is definitely getting written out in the first 15 minutes of this movie.
Right.
Or he's just carrying the kid around in a bubble the entire time, and it's ridiculous.
Well, we know that's not accurate because he headbutts a statue to make a bridge.
Right. Yep.
No baby there.
No baby there. It's true. Unless the baby's just off camera. Who knows?
There's a lot of stupid shit in this trailer.
I think that's where I'm at with it. Is I actually think visually, like effects wise, obviously it's pretty iffy here and there. But the visually, as was true with the first movie, the Atlantis stuff I think is fairly colorful and kind of fun and comic booky in the right sort of way. But the humor in this looks real bad. The dialogue and the banter and stuff is like, oh, we're so funny and punchy, trailer humor, and it's like, oh yeah, but none of this is funny though. So, and I don't think it's going to be funny in the context of the film either. So that's where I worry about it. Is this going to be insufferable to watch because it's just going to be nothing but that for dialogue, which I don't really think was true the first one. I mean, obviously, like we think about Jason Momoa and Justice League, my man and all that good stuff. But like, I feel like in the first Aquaman, he was still very much doing his thing, but not to this extent. Like this feels closer to your Fast X's, in terms of Jason Momoa being fucking ridiculous. Like he's I don't know. He's almost taken it too far sometimes, and I don't know if it's necessarily his fault here, but
what's that? Ed Hardy? Not Ed Hardy. Ed Hardy makes clothes. Who am I thinking of?
Tom Hardy.
It's like Tom Hardy's accents. Jason Momoa just shows up and says, "I'm going to act however I want to fucking act. I'm going to act ridiculous." Okay, Jason, go ahead. Action. I'm
going to be the Joker in this Fast and Furious movie.
Right.
Okay.
All right, Jason. Yeah. Okay. Just yeah.
It's like he resented that Khal Drogo had to be the most stoic motherfucker ever. That every role he's had since, he's like, I'm going to relish this shit.
Right.
I'm taking this to 11. Everything he's done since then has been very
bombastic
and boisterous.
We do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, we had the same thought, and maybe it's not wrong. So, yeah, he's fine. I like him, but I think he can be ridiculous, and I think there are moments where that's fine, and I think it's just a whole movie of that. Is it 2 hours of that, or is it just this is a badly cut trailer that thinks it's funnier than it actually is, because it's trying to sell this promise of a comedic action buddy team up between him and the villain from the last movie sort of thing. Like I don't know, I don't know. We'll see.
And I got a real Black Adam.
Will we cover it? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think this is very much. I think it looks better than the Flash. I think it's above Flash tier in terms of like where it stacks up. But I think Black Adam is probably about right in terms of it's not good, but it's not god awful either. You know what I mean? So it's not even mediocre. It's still below mediocre. I guess it's between mediocre and god awful. So just kind of
vague. It looks like vague shit.
Just kind of bad. Vague shit. Sure. Well, that's fine. I think that's a fair classification. So, hey, we'll see what happens with it. There's probably something else around Christmas time that will draw our interest, but maybe I will find myself watching Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Maybe taking one for the team. I don't know. And Blue Beetle was good. Blue Beetle was good.
Blue Beetle was good.
You can go 2 for 4, 50% success rate, batting 500. That's a pretty good batting average. Even 250 is not a bad batting average, but this ain't baseball. You know what I mean? So we'll see. December 20th, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now moving on to a Disney Plus series.
What?
Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is another adaptation of the Percy Jackson book series. There was, I think, 2 or 3 movies they made a good while back that were apparently quite bad. And now they are doing a full Disney Plus series with the author Rick Riordan, I think, more heavily involved in this in terms of trying to keep it more faithful to the books and whatnot. So Anna is a big fan of these books. You know, it's kind of blending your Greek mythology type stuff with you know, like a YA type of approach. You know, young, I guess teens or kids kind of sort of thing getting involved in, you know, this
Greek
sort
mythology,
of Greek mythology, gods and whatnot.
Sounds pretty
yeah,
cool.
You know. So yeah, I think the concept is pretty cool. I think, like I said, Anna really likes the books. I think there are 5 books in the original Percy Jackson series, which I think is kind of what this is intended to be, from what I understand. You know, this is supposed to be like season 1 might just be book 1, but it might potentially go beyond. I'm not exactly sure how they're trying to break it down. But a really cool concept, I think, overall, and one that, at least in terms of books, I think is it seems to hit the mark. I trust her in terms of, is this a good book or not? And she says it is, so I can't speak to it myself. But we can speak to the quality of this teaser. So I'm curious if it did anything for you.
It did. Kind of made me, I'm actually I'm interested to watch it. Looks a little kiddie.
Yeah, it's definitely got more of a youthful tone to it.
Definitely a little kiddie.
Kid-friendly tone.
But, you know, that can have its charms. You know, that's okay. I'm not above.
You can play it in front of Bennett and, you know, not feel bad about it.
That's right.
Maybe it'll be intense, you know, Greek gods and creatures and whatnot, potentially.
And, I mean, I've been listening to quite a few audiobooks about this stuff, so, you know, I'm just kind of, yeah, perfect timing as far as I'm concerned.
This is in your wheelhouse a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I could get interested in something like this. Yeah. I wasn't blown away by the teaser, I will say. You know, I think it is definitely kiddie. I think that's a really fair way of putting it. And, you know, I don't know. It just didn't grab me. I think overall, nothing about it necessarily stood out to me as, you know, like, I like the idea, I like the concept. I just didn't think the footage that we actually saw really did a whole lot for me.
Too compelling.
But I'm hoping that, like, an actual official trailer where we get more of the thrust of it feels more engaging, more interesting to me, because I think, especially again, given Anna's affinity for the series, I think it's one that we would certainly be interested in watching. And I know she wants me to read the books and stuff too, but this didn't exactly make me think, oh shit, I'm going to pick up those books right now. You know, like, it didn't seem to have that impact on me.
Right.
In the teaser. But maybe the show could be good. Maybe, you know, maybe better marketing could get it there, at least marketing that appeals to me more so. I don't know. But I think this is right around the time that Aquaman comes out. If I'm not mistaken. Let's see exactly when this is coming out. 2-episode premiere, December 20th, the exact same day.
Oh man!
So there you go. You've already got options. You've got options already. 2 hours of Percy Jackson or 2 hours of Aquaman. I don't know.
Yeah, you know,
decisions. But you have 2 months until you have to make such difficult decisions. But yeah, any other thoughts for you?
No,
Percy
good
Jackson
on that one.
and the Olympians. All right, let's move on to the Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The highly anticipated Hunger Games prequel that everyone was yearning for.
Yeah,
we all asked for it. We've been waiting with bated breath for more Hunger Games. More. It's not like it's been a decade since the series ended or anything like that, and people were just like, "Yeah, it came and went." We needed more. And we needed it to be about the villain of the original trilogy. We needed it to be about, like, why did he go bad? What happened then? What happened 64 years ago that turned Coriolanus Snow into the president, the tyrannical president of Panem? Well, we're going to find out in the Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Would you consider yourself a Hunger Games fan, or what's your franchise stance with the Hunger Games?
I think I've seen the first one, I think. Well, I know I've seen the first one. I can't recall if I've seen the other ones. I think I've seen bits and pieces of the other ones. I'm not a tremendous fan of these movies. I liken them to Twilight.
I guess I said trilogy, but it's not actually a trilogy of films. It's 4 films, but it's a trilogy of books. So small correction. But all right, Twilight realm, sure. I feel like it's kind of this similar era, maybe a little bit later, since it's after Twilight started.
And then you had like Maze Runner. It's like a whole,
yeah. Like there was a real period where it was nothing but like dystopian YA shit, Divergent, and it's just like enough is enough.
Yeah,
I
don't need it. It's fine.
Are they? Maybe they're just trying to. It's been 10 years. Like the genre.
We're bringing it back,
and now we can bring it back. Yeah, it's been long enough. People want this now. We'll find out if people do. I don't know. This is based off of a book, that did kind of the same thing. Came out a bit later after the original trilogy of books came out. There's no doubt that those movies were hugely popular and successful.
Sure, yeah. They set records, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we'll see if this recaptures the same success. Prequels are hard, totally different cast. There's a number of things I think.
It's also about the villain.
They potentially work against this. Yeah, and like Cruella, was a movie, but it was made and some people saw it maybe, and so like. It's a thing that could be done, that can be done, that has been done, but it's again, it's a question mark of are people going to care? For me personally, the answer is probably not, given that I myself don't have a ton of affinity for these. I've seen the first and second one. I actually believe I saw Mockingjay Part 1, and I don't think I saw Part 2. But I didn't
finish?
It didn't feel like, I think I saw Part 1 when it came out in theaters, and then there was either like a 6-month or 1-year gap because that was also the era of everything has to be Part 1, Part 2, and not in the Dune way, and that we've made one movie and split it down the middle sort of way. I guess more of the Spider-Verse sort of way. Except in that case, they just haven't actually made the third film. They just we're punting on that until we have time. So yeah, but as I recall, I didn't feel compelled to finish it, to see it through to the end. It was just kind of like, I honestly don't fucking care. The second movie I think is legitimately pretty good. The first one I thought was quite shit. The third one I thought was just boring. It did the Harry Potter thing of once it got to a certain point, like it's no longer about the Hunger Games anymore. Harry Potter wasn't about going to Hogwarts. It was about the Horcruxes and whatnot. And it's like, well, yeah, all right, you got to change the formula, but at the same time, you're kind of losing the appeal to a certain extent. And that's kind of how it had played to me. It was just like, this isn't as interesting or as exciting as it once was. So, this one is very much Hunger Games focused, literally Hunger Games focused and whatnot. So, well, I don't know. I don't know that I'll see it. It's probably the end of the day. I put it in here. I debated putting it in here because I kind of had a suspicion that it was it was something that neither you nor I had any sort of fondness for. But I did wonder if, because sometimes it happens. Sometimes you marry into things. I didn't know if maybe she's a person or anything.
Not to my knowledge, anyways. We've never watched them together.
All right. I didn't know, and I just figured, sometimes you just inherit things. Like, I probably wouldn't have put Percy Jackson in here if you weren't big on the mythology stuff lately, and if I didn't know that Anna was big into the movie, the books themselves. Like I probably would have been like, looks fine, whatever.
Sure,
and just chuck it to the side. But there's a fair amount of trailers that we do that for. But yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, I threw it in there, and now we can say we talked about it, and perhaps it's the last time we will talk about it. Only time will tell. But November 17th is when it is coming out for anyone listening that does care about it. It's not to say that you shouldn't care about it. It's just that maybe it's just not our cup of tea. And that's okay. That's okay. But maybe, just maybe, Henry Cavill with ridiculous hair
will
get our asses in the cinema. Argylle, official trailer. You got distracted a little bit by it last time we recorded.
Because he's fucking ridiculous looking.
We got an official trailer for Argylle. It's from Kingsman and all the other Kingsmen and Kick-Ass director Matthew Vaughn, Layer Cake director Matthew Vaughn, Once Upon a Time. It's got Henry Cavill looking quite ridiculous, but as it turns out, there is an explanation to a certain extent of why he looks so fucking ridiculous. So Argylle apparently is a fictional character in this spy novel. So there's, it seems like there's a little bit of two movies going on in here. There's the fictionalized, accounts of what's going on in these spy books, and then there's the story where Bryce Dallas Howard is the author, and then she gets embroiled into some real life espionage and stuff. So, pretty zany trailer, kind of all over the place, all over the map. But what do you think? Are you in? I mean, Henry Cavill and that hair, I think, is enough for me. But what about you?
Absolutely, that's enough. Dua Lipa in that gold dress would also
can't complain about that either. That's true. It's the two of them together. It's just
the two of them together,
spicing up the screen.
They're
causing the celluloid to melt.
Yes,
they're too hot. They're too hot. It's too hot.
Let's hope you dance as well as you dress. He's standing there with his fucking Paul Phoenix fucking haircut.
Paul Phoenix hair. Do you think that's how Bryce Dallas Howard's character describes it? Argylle with his Paul Phoenix ass hair.
Look at it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I want to know who drummed that up? Who thought of that? That's got to be a fun.
We'll look into it. Yeah, I think we got to cover this. I mean, from the first time we saw the promo image of Henry Cavill in the fucking velvet green suit sort of thing with his fucking ridiculous ass hair, there was not for a moment a time where we're like this, we have to talk about this. There's no way we can't talk about this. It's so ridiculous. And I almost kind of I can't decide if I'm a little mad that it's somewhat of a bait and switch. You know what I mean? I almost kind of would dig a full on 2-hour version of this ridiculous fucking movie that we see in the first 30 seconds of this trailer. Obviously it's kind of this heightened fictionalized sort of thing. And that's kind of fun. It makes the ridiculously of it more explainable, but I kind of hope I don't know. I want to see this ridiculous looking Henry Cavill be a fully actually realized character and not just have fun in these 2-minute goofy sequences. I don't know. 2 hours of him being fucking ridiculous, I think would have been awesome too.
Bart Simpson hair.
So what
I do like, what else? I like Sam Rockwell. I think he's great. I like seeing him in things.
He's great. He's a great actor. Yep, totally agreed.
And I also enjoy, John Cena, just snatching Dua Lipa off a motorcycle.
John Cena. Yeah, that was pretty good. Some rough looking CG here and there. The cat stuff, the bouncing stuff was pretty.
Looks absolutely terrible. Yeah,
looks like shit. But they got time to fix it, I guess. In theory, we'll see if they.
It won't.
We'll see
if
they actually
fixed.
do. No, it'll look just as shit, I'm sure.
It'll be like that one terrible scene in Kingsman.
I feel like my brain is saying yes, but I don't actually know which one you're talking about.
That's the Kingsman, the one where they go to the music festival.
Oh, yes, yep. Good stuff there. God. Man, that movie just fucking sucked. I know we've said it before, but man, real bad shit. Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, yeah. I like Matthew Vaughn, I think, generally speaking, well enough. And I do think this looks like quite a bit of fun.
Definitely looks fun.
There's a good chance this is just dreck. I think there's a good chance this is absolute trash. But I'm in it for the Henry Cavill hair alone. I must see it on the big screen. Biggest, loudest format. I want that hair to yell at me in IMAX or Dolby, whatever, I just need it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Argylle. Theaters in next February. So a little bit longer to wait than pretty much everything else we're talking about on this episode, but that's all right. We got to have something to look forward to in 2024. Besides Dune, of course. Dune and Argylle. They're basically next to each other in terms of hype levels at this point. But
yes,
thankfully they're spaced out by a month or so we'll be fine. We won't have to decide whether to cover Argylle or Dune or anything at the same time. All right, so coming to Netflix, Emily Blunt, Chris Evans, Catherine O'Hara, and Andy Garcia star in a film called Pain Hustlers. This is right around the corner. It's dropping October 27th on Netflix. So who knows, by the time this is out on the regular feed, that might be very soon or have already happened. Or by the time you're listening to this, that might have already happened, depending on, what you're doing with your life and whatnot. But it's a little, Wolf of Wall Street sort of thing going on here, where, they seem to be swindling some people and making some money and living the high life and whatnot. What'd you think? Pain Hustlers.
Yeah. I actually thought it looked really good.
Yeah, I think this is a really well done trailer. I think,
yeah,
especially compared to a lot of the trailers that we've even talked about on this episode, very stylish, but stylishly like a well done and stylish trailer, not just a The Killer. We talked about that last episode where it was the Michael Fassbender,
and that was a terribly shot trailer.
Yeah, the trailer just did. It was like trying to be fancy and fun, but it failed. And this, I think, is kind of all over the place, but in a good way. So yeah, good. It's a good trailer.
Yeah, looks pretty fun.
Will it work? Will it work for 2 hours versus 2 minutes? That maybe remains to be seen. I don't know.
Well, let's see. It's an easy enough one to watch because it's a Netflix movie.
You can watch it from the comforts of your own couch. Pull it up on the old Netflix. Yeah.
Sit down.
So what do you think? Is this trailer is enough? Is it enough for you to give it a go?
The performances look pretty. The performances look like they're pretty good. I think based off the performances alone, and the very stylish trailer we got, I think it looks like. I think it looks pretty good. It also, I enjoy the dynamic of watching somebody like start their sales job, and they're kind of happy, and then it's like, I'm not happy anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Is that something you can relate to personally on a personal level? Is that what you're saying?
Do I need to lay out on a couch and like look up at the ceiling and talk about that? I don't know. Yeah, it looks like this looks like a movie about hustlers, and
it looks like a fun ride. That's
right.
The kind of they'll build up a house of cards and then they'll eventually fall. But the journey from start to finish is kind of what is interesting and compelling about movies like this. So even if you kind of know that they start small and get big and then maybe get brought low again at a certain point, you maybe know the general arc, but it's still fun to see the moments in between too. So upsettingly though, after I say I'm pretty interested in it, I'm excited about it. It looks like it's got a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yikes. Oh, it already has reviews. Oh, I didn't know that. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, look, the way I look at it is Netflix movies are generally speaking not that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they make a lot of shit. They make a lot of fucking shit.
They do.
And there's an occasional one in there that's good. And, there was a possibility that this could have been it. But yeah, I'm looking at it now. The early buzz is not terribly positive. So yeah, that I guess you better temper your expectations a little bit. It might seem so.
Oof.
Well, hey, we'll see. At the end of the day, it's on Netflix. It doesn't require much more than turning your TV on and hitting a few buttons.
Not a lot of effort required.
You can give it 20 minutes. You can give it 30 minutes. You can say, this sucks, and you can leave. And no harm is done other than maybe, 30 minutes you could have done literally anything else with, but a small price. It's a small price to pay, right? So anyway, I guess we'll see. But yeah, oh man, that I feel like our conversation was getting me like, yeah, you know what? I think maybe I'll give this one a go, and then now I feel a little dampened by it. I don't know. Oh well,
that's the way it goes.
That's how it goes. That's how it's okay. If you get too overhyped for something, then you can't be disappointed. Then you're building yourself up for disappointment. So if you can temper the expectations, then you can only be pleasantly surprised. Maybe you're amongst the 23% of the critics who thought this was good enough for me to give it a positive score. Someone liked it. Clearly, someone that it wasn't 0%. Someone liked it. So All right. Well, we have one more trailer to talk about, and we are going to kind of bring this news section, the trailer section, full circle, and actually kind of ties in a little bit to the creator as well, which we haven't talked about in a good while at this point. But it's a TV show coming to Apple TV Plus on November 17th called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. and it is a TV follow-up to the current Godzilla MonsterVerse that WB has been cooking up with, which started with 2014's Godzilla, which was directed by the director Gareth Edwards, and then was followed up with Kong Skull Island, Godzilla versus Kong. Was there another one in there? There was a second Godzilla. Godzilla King of the Monsters, where he fought Ghidorah and all that. So there's been 4 movies in the franchise. There's another Godzilla versus Kong coming up, I think, next year. But we're getting this TV show first, which is kind of more about the organization that's been kind of following, the Titans and Godzillas and whatnot, called Monarch. And I think the coolest thing about this, at least for me, is it's kind of got 2 time periods where it's 1950s and it's also, more modern day type stuff. And the way that they've done it is they've got Kurt Russell for modern day, and they have his kid Wyatt Russell playing the younger version of himself in the 50s, which I think is really fun.
That's
really,
pretty
cool way of doing that. Like both of those actors quite a bit. So what do you think? Like,
I was going to say,
Monarch, it's a mouthful of a title, but Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. What are you thinking about it?
2 words. Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
That's it.
Yes,
that's all I needed.
Most excellent. No, you're not wrong, right? I mean,
yeah, I saw him. I said, okay. I mean, of course, it's Godzilla.
I'm sure he's
Kurt
not
Russell.
opposed to taking a paycheck, so it's not like that. It's some sign like, oh, this is automatically good. But Kurt Russell's going to put the fucking work in. He's going to be compelling, if nothing else. He might be the Bryan Cranston of this thing, where he's like, I'm doing everything in my power to make this shit good. As long as
at least his son's towing some weight though too, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah.
I think it's I mean, more Godzilla. That's a Godzilla centric episode.
That's right.
And I will take all the King of Monsters that I can get, all the Godzilla. I'll take it all.
For sure. Yeah.
Especially when it's got fucking Kurt Russell. I mean, of course.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like, in like a Disney Plus style of thing where, you're talking about making a Marvel or a Star Wars type of TV show. This doesn't look like they're holding back in terms of it.
No, it's expensive.
Like, let's make a Godzilla show without showing Godzilla a whole lot. Like, no, they seem to kind of put him pretty front and center, and other creatures and stuff too. So it's clear that they put some money into this thing, kind of, again, following that model.
But maybe they didn't put a lot of money in
type
it.
Thing.
Maybe they used Gareth Edwards.
Maybe they Gareth Edwards did, and they said, but we can do a lot with a little.
Budget's $10 million.
This budget is 1/20th of Secret Invasions.
Make it happen.
No, I don't think that's true. I'm sure this had a much more sizable budget than well, probably even the creator. Honestly, this probably has a bigger budget than the creator does.
Absolutely.
I would stake a claim to that and feel confident in making that claim. But it's going to be 10 episodes as well. So this is not a 4-6 episode miniseries kind of deal. This is a full on sort of thing.
Well, I hope they have the content. I hope they have the content for 10 episodes.
That's it. Don't pad it out for 10 episodes. And don't give us, here's the thing is it's 10 episodes. Do we get Godzilla in episode 1 and then it's fucking 8 episodes of humans talking to each other in boardrooms? Like that's
what you don't want
about it. Yeah. Unless you get some really, really compelling human drama, or the other thing is like, well, we know that it also has Kurt Russell's like kid, right? So it's like, is it just going to be Kurt Russell's in it for 5 minutes in the first episode and like shows up, in the finale? Like what's it going to be? So there's ways that this could go sideways, like a false promise of like what a really cool Godzilla show could and should be.
Kind of like that stylish Netflix trailer,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Marketing can be real bad, and deceptive in that way where it's just like, hey, you disguised a good movie. But it can also absolutely, you could turn shit into something really interesting looking. But hey, we'll see. I don't think there's any Rotten Tomatoes scores for this one yet. So we cannot. We can say that there is a way that this is bad, but we don't have any sort of definitive like critics saying like you better temper your enthusiasm a little bit. So yeah, I think that starts up in November. It's on Apple TV Plus. And I think they usually do weekly drops. Does that seem right? I don't know how much stuff you actually watch.
I actually can't. So I canceled my Apple TV Plus subscription because I had watched nothing but that one show with Ewan McGregor on it.
Sure.
I wanted to watch The Foundation, but I never got around to it. Anyways, I canceled it, so I have no idea how they release their shows.
Fair enough. It's a 2-episode premiere on November 17th, and then it's weekly from there.
It's right around the corner.
January.
So I get 1 month's worth of savings from Apple TV Plus.
That's right. You save everything up. Watch Foundation seasons 1 and 2. Just binge it all. Save your. Spend the $6 or $7, whatever it is, for a month. Do it that way, or just sign up for a new email account and do a free trial, and really, really binge it in a week. All right. Well, I think that's all the trailers.
That's all the trailers
we have.
A lot of trailers.
Are you ready to talk about a movie film? A $80 million budgeted movie film?
I have been ready to talk about this. I've been trying to talk about this since I watched it.
Since you watched it yesterday? Is that what
yesterday, yes.
That's right.
Precisely. I've been waiting a whole 24 hours.
24 hours. Well, you don't have to wait any long. Well, you have to wait a few more minutes while I give you some bullshit about the film. But after that, you'll be good. And some box office stuff, but we'll get there. So yeah, The Creator, it is playing in theaters right now exclusively. It's written by Gareth Edwards and Chris Waits. Directed by Gareth Edwards. It stars John David Washington with Jim Chan, Ken Watanabe, Sturgill Simpson, Allison Janney, and Madeline Una Voiles. In 2055, after war against artificial intelligence has broken out following a nuclear detonation in Los Angeles, an ex-Special Forces agent is recruited to hunt down and kill the Creator, who has developed a mysterious weapon with the power to end the war. Some real sci-fi fucking synopsis shit right there. So before I hear your thoughts about The Creator, do you want to hear some box office breakdown sorts of things?
Box office breakdown.
It's a sort of AI.
Is that what that
version? A little AI riff. Yeah, it's a little robotic, speed to it. So we'll talk about The Creator briefly, and then we'll talk about Taylor Swift for 15 minutes. No, but we are going to talk about Taylor Swift because I think it's an appropriate place to include it because the Eras Tour film has had its opening weekend, but we'll get there. So The Creator opened, let's see, it actually debuted September 29th, so we are...
Holy crap, way late to the party.
We're late to the party. It's had 3 weekends of full play at this point, and it is what you'd say lower budgeted film, certainly for the genre at $80 million, and it's doing... okay, I think overall. So in its first weekend, it debuted at number 3 overall with a $14 million opening weekend take. It was behind Saw X, Saw 10, and Paw Patrol: The Mighty Movie, but ahead of The Nun 2. And then in subsequent weekends, it dropped. Let's see. Technically, it was a holiday weekend, its second weekend, and it had about a $7 million take for the weekend, and then dropped a little softer in its third weekend to about $4 million. So domestically, it's at $32 million. Worldwide, it's at about $79 million. So right now, it's basically at even with its budget, which is to say it probably hasn't been profitable yet. But yeah, maybe... I don't think it's going to be a huge loss or anything, but it's not exactly a runaway rousing success either. Which is,
That's the way it usually goes for these kinds of movies.
Yeah, you don't get movies like this all the time. And so I honestly kind of think, regardless of your feelings on the movie itself, whether, you have issues with it or whatnot, I think it's a shame when movies that clearly like this, have so much poured into it, that people just don't fucking go and see it. Even the namesake of our podcast, I think, kind of fits the mold with An Edge of Tomorrow, where it's like, no one saw that fucking movie and it was so good, and
right? Yeah,
it's just sad, when you get like kind of original sci-fi movies that don't just perform all that well, So anyway, that's the box office, and it's not a huge catastrophe. It's not a big bomb. It's just not
It doesn't seem like it's being appreciated for what it is, what it brings.
It's not a runaway success, and now it has no chance because every theater, every premium format is dominated by Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour film. So I'm not mad at T Swizzle. I would have been very mad at T Swizzle if her fucking movie pushed the last IMAX showing of The Creator out so that I couldn't see it. Because what happened was that Taylor Swift, whoever made the decision, they'd already done the pre-sales for the weekend. And then like Wednesday, they announced, actually, we're going to do opening night show times for Thursday night too. And they announced it literally the day before. And so a lot of theaters kind of had to scramble to make accommodations for that. And so I really was worried that there's probably like fucking 5 people going to be at a 7:00 The Creator on a Thursday night. Like, if they're going to get no anything, that's probably a fair one to consider. But it happened. It happened. I think they canceled some Dolby stuff for like The Exorcist or something like that. Like, okay, whatever. But yeah. So we have the actual. I'm just going to say it right now. We have the numbers for the Taylor Swift Eras Tour opening weekend, and to no one's surprise, or at least not to my surprise, it's been dominating. So I think there was some question of whether it would cross $100 million for the opening weekend, and it did not do that. So it did not hit that, but it hit $92.8 million domestically, and then scored another $30 million internationally. So it's at $123.5 million through one weekend. And I am curious to see how the legs are going to be, because I could see this having a lot of repeat visits. I could see it, the people that didn't get to see it opening weekend because those tickets went so quickly, going to see it, weekend 2, or people like you or myself, where it's just like, I probably don't need to see it opening weekend because I could probably avoid that and feel better about it. But, weekend 3, weekend 4, people are like, yeah, I'll go see it now. Maybe it'll be a little less crazy.
Watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a heavy hitter, doing really, really well. Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour. It is not, I believe it is not a record for October. So let's see. Yeah. Joker still owns the October record at $96.2 million. I think the Swifties really thought Joker's going down, but, the joke was on them. So anyway, so that's Taylor Swift. She's making lots of money, getting 51% or whatever of all that. That's $60 million tucked into the back pocket. She can afford to go to all the Chiefs games that she wants, is what I'm saying. Even away games, she can go to all the away games too. It's crazy. She can just go anywhere she wants. Oh, I don't even know Andrew just gave me a heart and something happened. I don't even know. I don't know what's happening there. That's crazy. Is that a webcam setting? I don't even know what's happening.
I think it's an Apple thing.
That's pretty sweet. Thumbs up. Do we get a thumbs up?
You should.
It's not picking it up, I guess. Yeah. Blending into your shirt too much. Oh, there it is. Shit. Fireworks. Holy shit. That's like a birthday celebration sort of thing. There's the thumbs up. That was weird. Why did they get fireworks?
I don't know. Anyways, yeah, fucking Taylor Swift, dude.
Fucking Taylor Swift.
And the Creator, but Creator sounds like it's a, kind of farting out over there.
It's living in its own space.
Yeah.
Sputtering a little bit. But what did you think about The Creator? Did you have a good time once you got a chance to sit down and watch this movie?
So I sit down in The Creator.
I didn't know there was a backstory. Okay. All right, I'm ready.
No backstory. I just sat down. Okay. The movie turned on.
Sat down. You looked around. Where's that beer? Oh, I didn't get one. Damn it.
Well, the only thing I've got is it was the smallest. It was they got the different theaters.
Like a tiny ass auditorium. Fucking 8-seater or some shit.
Yeah, there were
it's a living room.
There's probably like 10 rows. Like it's got the smallest fucking theater. And then it's funny because I'm walking. It's at the very end of the theater too. It was Auditorium 19 at Movie Co. That tells you anything. That's the theater I'm in. So I'm walking down and I'm passing little girls dressed up and moms dressed up. And just like, what are they called? The fucking things that keep you in line. I can't think of the name.
The tents of barriers or something.
Yeah, it's like barriers. You know what I mean? They keep people in line. there's 6 auditoriums on the way to my auditorium that have like fucking,
so you
line
can have
things.
people like queued up waiting just to even get into the fucking auditorium.
Exactly. Yes.
They didn't have that set up for yours, did they?
No. I walk in there and there were some like 80-year-olds in the front, and then I go back and like they were staggered. Everybody was in the middle. And I didn't want to ruin like anybody's foot space, if they wanted to put their feet up or whatever. So I just went over to the back. And just as the movie's starting, like 3 groups of teenagers came in with like obviously they were on like a date. And I didn't look around, but I'm like, they're in this movie. They're just making out. That's what they're doing. They just came here to make out in the dark.
What's Mr. Box Office person? What's the movie that has the least amount of tickets sold right now? The Creator. Oh, very good. We'll take 2 for that, please.
Exactly. Come up in this movie to make out, you sons of bitches. Anyways, I can't confirm that. I did not see any, but I'm also blind in one eye, and I was
robot noises in the background.
But I just knew what they were doing. They looked guilty walking up the stairs.
You know they're kind. You were them once upon a time. You know how it goes.
Exactly. So, anyways, this movie, in my opinion, I think that I'm going to start off on the cons. That way, my last bit of words can be used praising what I think is, noteworthy. What isn't noteworthy is the narrative. I think that this narrative is not the most. Yes, it does feature sci-fi. Like I've seen people compare it to Blade Runner. It's not Blade Runner. I've seen people compare it to. It's kind of like one comparison I saw was District 9. I got District 9 vibes, it's kind of like the way it's shot and kind of like the...
Yeah, I think to me, less from a narrative perspective and more from the technical perspective is where I see the District 9 comparisons.
Yeah. But narratively, yes, it features AI and like the whole, or like the question of like what it is to be sentient and like, be a person, and it grapples with that, but it's not Ex Machina or Blade Runner, in my opinion. It feels much more, I didn't think it dwelt with like the humanity of the robots on a personal level. Like it helped, it established the fact that the race of AI is self-aware. They're sentient. The acting was ridiculously good with the little kid. I thought the little kid was fabulous.
Yeah, she was great.
The little kid was a very, very, very potent actor. Just really, really helped. I mean, just really, if you didn't have that kid, you don't have the movie, right? Like it falls tremendously short, and that's kind of how it's kind of how flimsy I feel like the script is with the robots, where you have the performance of this one character, and the performance of this one character is what carried it, not necessarily the way the character was written. It was the performance that carried it. But I don't want to make it sound like I'm shitting on it, because it wasn't shit. I mean, it was solid. But in comparison to like the technical prowess of this movie, it's kind of just like, it felt like kind of like run of the mill sci-fi. I felt it was the story was just kind of unremarkable. I thought it was predictable. The story twist, I thought that was predictable. That's pretty much it. But the things I liked, the performances, all the performances were very solid. Sold it. There's a military woman that felt like she was cast to be that one chick in, I can't remember her name. She's always like real like dry humor and shitty. Real tall blonde lady. She's in that movie with Paul Rudd where he goes to buy a fucking thing at Starbucks and he tells them they're stupid in 3 different languages. You know what movie I'm talking about? Grown up? Is it not grown ups?
Role models?
Role models. Yes. What's that blonde lady's name? She's the host of that one game show where like they go around in the circle and she just insults them. You know what I'm talking about?
Are we talking about who the actual actor was in this, or someone she reminded you of?
Someone she reminded me of.
Okay.
What the fuck's that lady's name?
And you watch different.
Weakest Link. It's the Weakest Link. Who's the host of the Weakest Link?
The Weakest Link. God, what's her name? You are the Weakest Link. Is it Anne something or another, or is that? Or is there an American one that you're talking about? Oh, Jane Lynch. Jane Lynch.
The military lady, like the antagonist.
Couldn't get Jane Lynch, so they got Allison Janney. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
That's kind of the vibe.
In terms of like how the character was written. Yeah.
Character is written this way. Yeah. I mean, even down kind of like the look. Kind of thought she looks similar too. Anyways, that's the vibe I got. The bad guys just kind of fell short. They kind of sucked. I really the real conflict here is with your protagonist, Washington. And I thought he crushed his role too. I thought he did a really good job. But that's your real conflict is watching this character grow from like a I don't know what the word would be. But he's kind of he's got like this bigotry towards AI.
Right. Yeah.
He's a humanist, I guess is what you can say.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's that's kind of the thing. It's watching him grow as a character. But technically, this movie is a marvel. Like you said earlier in the podcast, it should be the staple. It should be the gold standard for what you can get for your money.
Yeah. If this is what $80 million gets you, $200 million should look like mind blowing. Like and like we've seen examples of it with Avatar 2, where the technology can be done in a way that is truly astonishing. But more often than not, it's like you spent how much on this and what? That's what it looks like. Like that's really what we see all too often. And then this is the inverse, where it's just like, I'm sorry, did you spend how much on this? That's how did you do that? How is that possible? Because it is, I don't know, like through all aspects. I mean, I just think the set design, the production design, the integration of both types of the AI, like the simulants who are the lifelike, people versus, and then there's the full on AI kind of robots that are fully mechanical and everything.
Right.
It's so seamless.
It's kind of like it's like a gradient, right? Like you have completely real people, and then you have people that are gonna they're half CG, and then you have full CG robots, and all of them exist and interact with each other, and it all is like seamless. It's perfect. It blends so well you can't tell. Same thing goes with like your big panning shots of like the planes and the Nomad, and I listened to a I think it was a YouTube. I can't remember what YouTube it was, but this guy was talking about how Gareth Edwards' like staple is scale and perfecting like conveying a sense of scale on in the frame. And that's after he said that, I really thought about it, and the things that were so striking to me in Rogue One, and Godzilla, that first Godzilla,
right,
is like the way that he's perfect, and even in this movie, is
fucking epic. Not in like a epic film sort of way, but just in terms of the grandeur of it all, it's really, really impressive.
Yeah, the way that he can convey a sense of size, and he's a master at his craft for sure. And to watch that craft grow and get perfected from movies like you start off with Godzilla and then you go to Rogue One and now you go to this. Or if you start out in his early filmography, Monsters is another one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But if you watch how he really hones his abilities and like I said, once it was brought to my attention that that is his thing. Scale is he has a thorough understanding of how to put things properly in the frame to convey the size and the magnitude of the things in the frame. It's astounding. It's very well made. This movie is a technical marvel, I think, as far as I'm concerned. It is. I mean, if you look at sci-fi, for the genre, but like as a whole, as special effects go and set design and everything, it's a technical marvel. I think that, and that's why maybe that's why I'm more critical of the narrative, because it's you have this narrative that kind of, it's not, I don't want to say that it's generic, but when you have such an epically made movie, and then this is the narrative, it kind of feels like it's kind of lopsided. But it's not that the narrative is bad, because it's not. It's very solid. It's just it's not a Rogue One narrative. You know what I mean? It's not a Blade Runner narrative. If we're just talking just general sci-fi,
Sure.
It's not Ex Machina. I did get a little upset. I got teary. It hit the heartstrings. But like I said, I thought the narrative was lopsided. I mean, in comparison to everything else in the movie. But that's my takeaway. It's a technical marvel. I'm a little upset I didn't get to see it in a premiere format. But c'est la vie. That's the way it goes. I didn't see it. It's not like I put a speedboat in my bathtub. I didn't watch it on my cell phone.
No. You still saw it in a theater, so
Right.
that counts for something.
What'd you think of this movie?
Well, I have quite a few thoughts on this film myself, but I think they largely echo kind of how you felt about it. I think I think the biggest compliments to be said about this movie are purely from the technical standpoint. I mean, yes, obviously we've talked time and time again about how they've managed to stretch what is a pretty small budget for a film like this into what it is. But I think beyond that, I mean, obviously that's incredibly impressive and it is worth recognizing. But I think even if this again was $200 million, I would look at this and think, man, this looks incredible. I think just the way that it's shot, you talked about scale. I think that's a really, really good point of just, I think about like the Nomad airstrikes, and just the sound design and stuff for all of that, and like the visual design of the the technology, finding its targets and locking in on its targets, and just all of it is just so like, I don't know, man, it pulls you in for sure. You really get sucked into this world. I think just the character design, like the simulant design is interesting, kind of the hole in the head sort of thing. And all of it is just like really, really visually interesting and appealing and to look at, where it's just like, I mean, this is I think about, we talked about like with the Northman, I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine living in this world? And I feel the same way in this one, where I'm just like, I don't want to live in this fucking world. This world looks like it fucking sucks. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much mayhem and carnage and death and destruction in this movie. It's insane. I mean, it's just people and robots and AI just getting obliterated like almost every fucking scene. It just feels like there's, just an act of genocide basically being carried out. It's quite grim and macabre and in terms of its tone and everything. So it's a very oppressive sort of like world that they live in, obviously by design. But man, it's a marvel to behold, and just all of its aspects from the design to the sound, all design aspects, visual, sound, costumes and everything, like just feels like a rich world that we've been dropped into, that we're lucky enough to be able to drop into for a couple hours and suffer with. Really, really stood out for me on that point. So I think that kind of feeds into this narrative thing where I think that to me, it's not so much the narrative itself that is, I guess you didn't really say it's bad, but it's not necessarily noteworthy. I think it's hitting on a lot of tried and true sci-fi concepts of humans versus AI and stuff. And I think that it does. I mean, I think the thing is, it's not necessarily profound about any of it. Or,
maybe that's what it is.
New to the conversations that we would have had about these sorts of things. But I do feel like it's a well-delivered version of familiar concepts to me. Like, I didn't feel like to me, it was almost the beat for beat sort of things where I'm just kind of like, all right, okay. In terms of it really just was just like from scene to scene, it's like we've got to get from here to here to here to here, and it's A to B to C to D kind of thing, like walking around points on a map and an escort quest sort of thing for good chunks of the film. So it has kind of a video gamey sort of progression, and and he just you get stuck in like, oh shit, Nomad's here, and there's a missile strike, and everything's getting blown up. I got to get the fuck out of here, and it's like that like 3 or 4 different times almost. So that's kind of where I kind of felt like narratively it wasn't the most satisfying, but I think conceptually I enjoyed a lot of what they were doing. To me, it gave me a lot of shades of Mass Effect. I think particularly with the Geth and the Quarians, and this whole idea like these race of people made these sentient beings, and then there's basically been a whole all-out war between those two people. I thought was kind of interesting, and here it's on a macro scale where it's I guess it's pretty much United States versus everyone else is really kind of what it seems like because LA was nuked, and so the U.S. didn't take too kindly to that and declared war on.
They just put a giant floating like fucking death machine over Asia.
Yeah. So the entire industrial military complex of America has now been boiled down into this one fucking flying machine of death, which is interesting. Feels very American, to be honest. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Right? So yeah, I don't know. I all of that kind of worked for me. I think it was really, and I liked the, not to get too spoilery with it, but the kid aspect of it and how that informs John David Washington's character's arc and everything, like all that. I think it's not anything we haven't seen before, but it's a fairly well done version of that in a world where it's like, yeah, okay, and I'm stealing your comparison at this point because you texted about it to a friend of ours, Enrique, and said, it's got some Avatar-like qualities, where it's an incredible technical thing, but writing wise, maybe leaves a little bit to be desired. And I think that Avatar is kind of a pastiche of, sci-fi concepts that have been done before and put together in a unique and interesting package that like is like, enjoyable for everyone kind of sort of thing, because it's not necessarily pushing the boundaries of anything. It's not challenging your expectations or your reality or anything like kind of too crazy. But it's just kind of a fairly well done version of story beats that you can kind of expect and see coming. And so yeah, I mean, I think it does all that fairly well. I think something that you haven't talked about, and I wonder if it's intentional. To me, the one thing that I think was really missing from this movie of taking it from like a really, really awesome world with a pretty or good enough story at a minimum and interesting enough characters, something that I think really, really could have elevated this film was a very compelling score. And I didn't think this film had one. And I think that's a shame.
That's true. Especially with like the places that this movie travels, Yeah,
I mean, there's so many different unique settings, going through, this like New Asia kind of thing where there's this, it's such a different sort of world and different vibe than, I mean, yeah, you make Blade Runner comparisons and there's sort of Blade Runner-y places, but there's a good variety of settings throughout this film, and it just kind of feels like, there could have been these really unique soundscapes for all of these locales, and it's just not there.
Right.
It's really just, there's nothing. I take it back. There's one thing that stood out to me in terms of the use of, I really say music, not even score in this movie, is there's a bit where they use a Radiohead song, Everything in Its Right Place.
Oh,
I think it's when, and the way that sounds is almost like the sound that I wanted for this entire movie. Like, it just sets such an ominous mood for the scene and everything. And it's just like, that's what this movie needs. It needs the punchiness of something like that. And it just was missing from the movie for me. And I think that this movie is just such a standout in other technical places that to me just feels like a huge missed opportunity.
Should have put Ludwig on it. He would have crushed it.
I had
like
this
deep fucking punchy basses and stuff.
I had this internal conversation with myself. I'm like,
who would you do?
What went wrong here? And the number one answer of what went wrong here is they got Hans Zimmer to do it. And
no, they didn't. Are you serious?
Hans Zimmer was a little busy phoning it in on this one so that he could continue his work on Dune, I'm pretty sure. It's definitely Hans Zimmer.
Is it?
But I think it's a classic.
Oh,
it's a classic Hans Zimmer phoning it in on 3 out of the 4 movies he works on in any given year. And I really absolutely think it's because he was working on Dune and was just like, I'm going to recycle some of my old dog shit for this.
Why would you not pick Ludwig though? Was he busy?
I don't know. Maybe Ludwig was busy. He might have been busy with Oppenheimer and whatnot. But you know who Ludwig crossed my mind. I think Ludwig would have done very good. I think, hell, you could have gotten Radiohead to do it. You could have gotten Tom York to do it. But you could
do a fucking 9 Inch Nails dude. He could have done it too.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. That's where my brain went. Like I racked my brain. I was like, Ludwig would have been good. I think Ludwig would have been great. But this is a fucking 9 Inch Nails ass kind of movie.
Yeah, totally.
Everything about this screams 9 Inch Nails.
For sure.
And it's such a huge missed opportunity that they didn't get 9 Inch Nails to do this, because I think that
would have been outstanding.
To me, that would have taken it from really compelling, pretty good, enjoyed it quite a bit, to holy fuck, dude.
Well, it would have been layered so well over the cinematography and the things in the frame, for sure.
It just kind of felt like, you have these big moments, with the scale and everything. Just you bring that to life with just a pounding score.
Yeah, for sure.
With kind of synth driven or bass driven kind of stuff. Ah, man, it just it feels like such a huge missed opportunity for me, and it bums me out thinking about it, because it was just like there. An interesting thing I saw, which could have been a fun fact if you didn't have one, is that I saw that Gareth Edwards apparently considered doing like an AI version of music that would have been based off of Hans Zimmer's scores. And you know what? I think that would have been better. I mean, say what you will about AI replacing jobs and whatever. And I think that, certainly for something like this, maybe you can get away with it because it's so conceptually, integrated into the movie of, that's a really kind of neat thing to do, maybe, is to do like an AI score, which also could have just completely sounded like shit and made the movie worse. There's such a thing as a score being bad and taking away from the film. That didn't happen here. It's just so unmemorable that it's just
unmemorable. Exactly. I can't actively remember the sound of the movie. I remember the sound design.
There's one scene that I can pinpoint. The sound design is great. Right. The actual, the sound design within the film itself, it just kind of felt like
sounds like sci-fi.
The overall sound is just, I don't know. Missed opportunity. Yeah. But otherwise that's pretty good. Pretty good, I think. I like the world. I think it tells a pretty complete story. I don't think it's a perfect film or anything like that. But I think what I will say, I think this somewhat ties into what I either said or started talking about earlier, is you just don't get movies like this all the time.
No, you don't.
And I think I almost appreciate a movie like this more, because it just really feels like it's trying to do something a little bit different. Like, yeah, okay, it's it's AI and it's pretty. There's nothing crazy in terms of the story, like the things that it's drawing on, but it's throwing it together in this sort of package that you just don't get to see a lot, and so I kind of think it's worthy of recognition for being an original sci-fi film and a. And obviously we cover all this shit, but in a comic book movie dominated sphere and all that sort of thing, where a lot of it is based off of existing properties, and this is an original take on stuff, in the way that Blade Runner was a trailblazer for sci-fi, in the way that even District 9 when it came out was just like such a huge fucking breath of fresh air. This is, I don't think it's quite on the scale. I don't think this has the
It is, but it
will
isn't,
have
you
the
know?
impact that those movies had. But it's knocking on the door. It's knocking on the door enough to be interesting and kind of have something worthwhile about it.
It's talked about in the same conversation. I mean, the fact that we're having a conversation about Blade Runner and the creator in the same, in the same episode is pretty potent. I mean, it says a lot in and of itself. It's
certainly evoking those things without, again, feeling like it's the next level in the way that those were. But maybe time will, tell a different story of this kind of being an underappreciated, entry into the sci-fi genre. So
I think this movie did do something different. I had to think about it a little bit. I dwell on it. It's not as like on your nose, but the spiritual oh God, I can't say it. The spiritual what? I can't even say it when I say it slow.
Spirituality.
The spirituality.
Close enough. We'll accept it.
Spirituality.
Anyways, I'll try to edit it best I can, make it sound like you're actually saying the right thing.
The reverence that the AI has for their creator, you know what I mean, and the like, yes, you do go to like super sci-fi Blade Runner dystopian places. You got like L.A. and then you've got the Asian place. I can't remember what it's called, but the big city. But the majority of the movie is spent in like the jungle, where the AI is used for, not that they're being used, but they're farmers and they're just trying to exist. And like you have this highly advanced thing posed over a natural world, and then and the movie goes to, I don't want to, it's spoilers, but it's the movie doesn't take place in super sci-fi places. It takes place in the rural jungles of wherever it's at. And I think that juxtaposition of super advanced AI in the jungle, just trying to exist and be peaceful. I think it's really interesting, and I don't think that's been done before. I think most of the time you have robot, you also have robot city, and you have that in this too. Don't get me wrong,
right.
But these robots are peaceful creatures, and they are shown to be peaceful creatures. Which is interesting. So, anyways, that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, then I think that brings us to the age-old question of how would you recommend this film to others? Do you think that it's worth a theater visit?
Yes.
Do you think it's worth waiting?
Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Got excited.
Cut me off. Well, jeez. Okay. All right. Well, let's not even introduce the other options. So you think go see this in theaters? Is that what you think? Why?
I think go see it in theaters. I think it's a you can have the conversation. It stands up with when you talk about Ex Machina, if you talk about Blade Runner, you're also talking about the creator. I posit, is that what I would say? I think that's what I would say. I posit the question,
correct to me,
that if you had not seen Blade Runner, if you had not seen Ex Machina, this would be truly a profound movie. And I think that you would be, your mind would be further blown by watching Blade Runner, and then you would be like, wow. Almost like Lawrence of Arabia.
Sure, yeah, we go back.
Whoa,
60
this
years,
is.
and we're just like, oh yeah, there's a lot of things in the movies that we liked growing up that owe their success to Lawrence of Arabia,
right?
Even recent, like Dune, like we made the Dune Lawrence of Arabia connection. It's like, it's just kind of fucking Dune there, like Dune's just kind of Lawrence of Arabia in space, and you know what? We like both of them. This is cool.
That is cool. Yeah, exactly. So I think that this movie, like he says, it kind of borrows and themes and stuff that have been done before, arguably better than what this movie does.
But this movie doesn't do them poorly either.
No, it doesn't.
Probably important to note.
Exactly.
It's nothing new or pushing the genre or anything like that. But it's a good blend of what's been done before.
And it really just it stands up there with the titans of the genre. It really is should be the like you want to be a VFX artist. You want to do this. Okay, well, this is what you're expected to produce for the amount of money that we're spending. You know what I mean? This is the gold standard of what is capable for the dollar. And then for more than that, it's truly a spectacle. It is a Can you put it on your wall? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can.
Yep. And I think something to be said to complement that thought is cinematography was in part done by Greg Fraser, who has worked on Dune and Dune Part 2 and Batman.
And that is why.
And Rogue One, and some others and stuff. But yeah, the man knows what he's doing, So yeah. Okay. Any other recommendation thoughts?
No,
see it in
truly
theaters,
spectacle. Yeah,
obviously,
biggest place you can see it, which unfortunately is just, I think, probably regular theater at this point.
Just a regular theater at this point. Thanks, Taylor. I think regardless of Taylor, I think even when Exorcist came out, it was getting bumped from a lot of its premium formats. So it's not entirely fair to put it on her.
We went to dinner in Orlando on Saturday, and I went to see what was in the IMAX theater at Point Orlando.
I'm sure it was Taylor Swift.
It was fucking Taylor Swift on IMAX. Oh boy, I could. Oof.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Man, I didn't know Taylor was 30 feet tall. That's crazy. How come no one's ever pointed out that she's a giant? Anyway, I also say go see this in theaters. And I'll just parrot the same shit I've been saying. You just don't get shit like this all the time. So I think, there's multiple reasons that you should see this in theaters from a technical standpoint, because that's the best way to appreciate, all of it, all of the hard work that went into this movie. I think more than that, it's the best kind of place to lock in and be able to kind of envelop yourself in a world like this. Again, it's not the most uplifting film. But it's got, it has a little bit of heart to it. It's got a message to it. It's got a message, I think, that's more relevant than ever, even more so than your Blade Runners and your Ex Machinas. It's so prescient right now because of all the AI concerns especially in the context of the writer's strike, the SAG-AFTRA strike and everything. It's just like AI is such a major sore thumb right now for a lot of people of just being like, ugh, AI. But what is it when AI takes the next step, where where's the point where AI makes the jump from just being a tool that humans use to replace what other humans can do or whatever, to the point of just being its full-fledged entity that you kind of have to treat individually and separately. That's, again, that's AI. I mean, obviously that's not a new concept, but it's more interesting than ever, I think, right now, of just how close we are as a society to this world being not too far off, the real world. I mean, one hopefully expects that we're not entering a world where LA has been nuked and there's an all out war between, the United States and Asia and whatnot, but still, maybe it's not the craziest future that we could conjure up. I think number 3 for me is just like, this movie needs help. And I think that, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to, I wonder how many people I fucking know about this movie, at the end of the day. Like, I don't even know that it's a case of people seeing the trailer and being turned off by it. I just kind of feel like it just hasn't had a lot of reach, I don't know.
I talked to,
obviously it's a hardcore sci-fi movie. It's not going to be for everyone. I wouldn't expect your wife to like this movie. And I don't know if she saw it or if you even asked her, but like, I could see you being like, I'm not even bothering. I'm going to see this on my own. It's not for everyone, and it's not a slight against her. It's not a slight against anyone. Like, I don't think this movie has universal appeal. Like, you think about an Avatar. Avatar is a fucking sci-fi movie, but it's got a bit more going on than it that seems to have. I mean, I still don't understand why Avatar had as much appeal as it did, both both go, both times around with the first and
Right.
second movie where it's making $1 billion. But this still has, I think, more reach, I think, than it seems like it is generating right now. For whatever reason, again, that's causing that. So yeah, I mean, I think if you don't really know anything about this, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's not too long. It tells a fairly interesting story overall, and it's pretty compelling from minute one. It kind of takes you in, and I don't know. I just
I think the story is
are worthy of recognition.
I think the story's got like a lot of mainstream appeal. I think that a lot of people can watch the movie and enjoy it because in
some ways it's a movie about what's it like to be a dad. That not literally, you know what I mean, but a little bit of that. It's like a classic. Let's pair off an adult with a kid, and someone who they don't want to fucking spend time with, and it's just like, oh God, not this little shit again, and then you see those two. It's The Last of Us, right?
It's The Last of Us. That's exactly what it is.
Joel and Ellie, you know what I mean? It's just like
tale as old as time.
By the end, and not to get into the spoilers with this one, but like by the end of The Last of Us, like Joel and Ellie, they're fucking bonded, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right. Shall we do some spoilers then?
Spoilers.
Full spoilers for The Creator. Or should I say Nirmata? They could have called it Nirmata. Maybe it would have sold a lot more tickets if it was called Nirmata. Probably not. I think it would have sold even less tickets.
The thing that upset me the most.
Upset you in what sense? Like, this is not as good as I want it to be?
Just felt kind of like a cop-out.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The nuke in L.A.
Okay.
Offhanded comment. It was just coding error, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Totally human
right,
fault.
Sure.
Oh, okay. And that was that, It could have been, you could have introduced a conspiracy. There could have been just something better than it was just a code error, It just felt like a total cop-out. It felt like I don't know. That upset me the most.
Offhand explanation that really isn't all that relevant to the plot.
Right, like you didn't have to mention it at all. Nuke went off. AI sent the nuke. You know what I mean? It kind of, especially with the AI saying that they don't want to hurt anybody and everything. I guess it makes sense for them to explain why, how it's not their fault that there was a nuke that went off. But I tell you what, I would have really enjoyed the military being the bad guy. I would have really enjoyed that. Like, not that they're not the bad guy, because they are the bad guy in the movie.
They very much are, yeah.
But I would have enjoyed them to be that much more worse. That there was a reason why they set off a nuke in L.A. It would have made the organization that he worked for that much worse. It would just really, 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 just put a nail in the coffin for him.
As it is, they're just kind of generic military, kill everything in sight sort of, and it's just, they're hateable, because it's just, obviously we see very much throughout the film, oh no, the AI very much are sentient and peaceful in nature and stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of just, I don't know.
Kill all of them, spoiler section. Yeah, so that was the thing that probably stuck out the most. I didn't like that part. What else is there? Oh, I cried during the before she at the very end there before he shot her out of the.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. I think the best part was the fact that when he, so I really enjoyed the AI, the robots, being monks. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
I think that was super, super, super cool dynamic, just super spiritual fucking AI. Really awesome. And then the one thing that wasn't, I I had it pegged fairly early on that Nirmata was his wife.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But I did not have it pegged that whatever word that meant heaven meant that, she's up in the top of this temple, on life support. That was pretty neat. I think that I really enjoyed that setting too, them in that valley, with that temple up there. That was really cool.
Before it got bombed like everything else.
Yeah, right.
Just every scene is just fucking bombs. Missile strike. Yeah. Crazy.
The fucking the bomb robots.
The bomb robots stuck out to me. Those are insane. Yeah. Just thudding along, and then the one just like stops. Just like they had such a, I don't know how to describe it. Like I don't know, just their like body structure was kind of funny looking. They're
just simple machines.
They just like stood still, like just like derpy looking. I don't know, something about it. But it was in a good way though. I don't mean.
Like, yeah. No, it's totally awesome.
But
the bomb robots are some of the best.
The sophisticated, simulant technology that we have, where people have these fucking, lifelike faces and stuff. I don't know, just something. The simplicity of the bomb robot just gave me a good chuckle, but also like just the simple horror of it too, of just being like
unstoppable running machine
is being programmed just to be a fucking tank that just blows people and children up and everything.
And like he hesitates to go out. The bomb robot hesitates to move.
Yeah.
Go.
Pleasure serving with you, General, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Just clunkily running.
Everybody's freaking out. They're shooting at it. Doesn't do anything. Very cool.
I feel like the first one ran past her like, what the fuck is that? And then I was, oh man. It's just there's a lot of death in this movie. This is a dark fucking movie.
Yeah.
I just I mean, obviously, like even for our characters, but it's like, oh, he's got to meet up with his friend. His friend's got a simulant girlfriend. Like, obviously, he's very much embraced, this lifestyle, which is very un-American. Oh, and she gets blown to high hell, and then he gets fucking shot within like 5 minutes, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, everyone in this movie is fucking dead.
They ripped ripped that one robot's head off. That one guy, the one guy gets shot and he dies, and they scan his head,
plug his brain into the other. Yeah. Like it's the moments like that where I'm like, all right, that's different. Like, that's a little.
But it's like they didn't. Yes, it is different, but it seems just kind of it didn't seem like it. Maybe it's because the score is missing. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the emotional resonance of having a dude pulled from his body and then plugging his brain in next to him to a robot, it was off-putting. It was unsettling, but it wasn't
like as horrific as it probably could be.
Right, exactly. Is that because they didn't linger on it? Is it because it didn't have a score? Is it because they kind of just glossed over it and it kind of really wasn't referenced anymore?
Yeah,
like
we didn't really care that much about that guy, actually, even though he was just kind of annoying most
right.
of the time. And was he the psychopath that wanted to cut the face off of, like, well, just cut their face off. It's like, well, that's okay. Good for you.
Right.
I don't know if that was the same guy or not, but
yeah, which is that should have been terrible, but they kind of just like glossed over it. I don't know. There was something.
I think of something like Altered Carbon. I think the first season at least did like an interesting job of just like what is it like to just be able to insert your conscious into different bodies and stuff like that, and it kind of
right.
Like that had like an interesting angle, right? Of it just kind of being like a superficial shell sort of thing, and here it's very much like not that, but it never quite. It didn't take the concept and run with it. It was just kind of like a moment where it's just like, and then that's a lot of this movie to me is like a collection of moments. Where it's like, oh, okay, all right, that's something there, but it never quite gelled to like some bigger picture sort of thing where it's just like, oh my god, like that's
some sick shit that you did.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like when she pulls out the mind thing and puts it on his wife.
Yeah.
He kind of like responded pretty negatively to that, you know? And naturally, but I don't know. It's just, it's a weird thing. It's weird. I can't put my finger on it, but something is
there's
afoot. I don't know what it is.
I think the experience of watching this, I felt like as I was going moment to moment, to me, the editing seemed a little off kilter, where it kind of felt like transitions from scene to scene, never like somewhat by design. Obviously, there's some flashbacks and stuff kind of thrown in there. But I think even just linearly in terms of the narrative, it just kind of felt like it jumped around a bit. And I almost kind of felt thrown off here and there by that sort of style. And I think there's like little things where it's just like, you know, like obviously like, you know, he sees like the fake Mayas who are just simulants that have the face donated. Like there's like little bits throughout where it's just kind of like general things of weirdness. But then when you kind of get the full context of the story later on, I'm like, I don't know if that fully fits with kind of what I was thinking was going on earlier. So I'd be curious to rewatch it to kind of see how much of the story is kind of, you know, woven in throughout for you to kind of piece along together. Like obviously, you know, you said you picked up, you know, that maybe Nirmata was Maya, was his wife. But that doesn't really, I don't know, you know, I mean, I'd be curious to see, like watching the movie with that knowledge, if things read a bit differently, if they feel a bit different. So that's the kind of thing where I'm just like, I don't know. It was an interesting enough film that I feel like rewatching it would be rewarding to kind of see some of that sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll see it again in theaters necessarily, but I could see myself certainly, you know, enjoying a 4K Blu-ray of this sometime down the line as a, you know, pop in every few years kind of movie.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a cool movie.
It's not
a very cool movie.
It's a cool movie. It's not a feel good movie, but it is a cool movie. And I think even the ending though, although it is kind of has its bittersweet nature, you know, of pretty much everyone dying except for I guess Alfie. Alfie makes it out, right? She gets in the escape pod and is able to kind of crash down to Earth. And there's this kind of notion that all right, they've blown up the entire American military because apparently it's just Nomad.
All resources went into it. It's
not Nomad with little, you know, fighter jets that could have aerial defense. No. It's literally just Nomad is all they have. I felt that. I will say, I think some of the third act stuff felt a little silly, where it's John David Washington like crawling around the whole fucking space station, and it's just a kid running through the whole goddamn space station, and no one's like, huh? You know, they lock away like 15 military guys, and like that's apparently their entire defense for the entire space station. I'm like, I mean, this is the American military.
That's pretty bold.
We have stupid amounts of everything, you know, unnecessarily so. And obviously, again, it's kind of just like we're spending $7 billion trillion on Nomad, and that's everything we've got. And it's good enough for most of the movie because it just fucking wrecks everything in sight, or that it can target, which seems to be the entire world. You know, but I kind of felt that the third act was a little haphazard in terms of just kind of where it jumped around in terms of what they needed to do.
That second act was really strong, though.
The second act, though, was awesome. Yeah, and I think just him meeting up with like Ken Watanabe's character, who I thought was really, really awesome. You know, and kind of leading up to him being reunited with Maya, who, you know, obviously she's on the ventilator, and just kind of getting to know the AI culture a little bit more, you know, boots on the ground perspective, throwaway lines and all that was the most interesting aspect of this. Like the first act is the setup, and I guess it is kind of, I hadn't really thought about it, but it is kind of broken down sort of chapter by chapter and stuff like that, which was kind of a fun creative structure for it, which I enjoyed. But yeah, it's good. I mean, I think the ending itself it's bittersweet, you know, with having Taylor and John David Washington not ultimately making it out, but basically saving the entire AI, you know, species at this point, is doing something. He has kind of, I mean, I kind of felt like the stuff with him being able to reunite with his wife for a brief moment in like the garden was a little hokey. I think overall I liked the idea of it, but it kind of just felt like, all right, this is a little forced, I guess, to me anyway. I don't know if it played the same way for you. Like at the moment when she was like plugging her into the thing, and I'm like, why the fuck are you doing this? Like I get like you're like a kid and like a childlike sort of thing, but I'm just like, why is this happening right now? What is the purpose of this? And I was like,
and like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't
so
you
they can have a nice moment later? I guess
just plug her in the AI research room. Why don't you just plug it in right there? Why do you got to drag her across the space station and then plug it in and then say, "Oh, bye, Mom, I got to go"?
Yeah, right. It was like the fact that she did all this and then she's like, "Okay, see ya." I was like, "Okay." Yeah, that to me, like, again, that's one of those things. I'm like, did I miss something when I watched it? Did I not fully grasp what I was watching? Is that possible? And like, yeah, it's possible, I think, but it sounds like you're kind of on the same page. So maybe we're just
it was just kind of, it's just there.
It was a little much, I think, kind of thing. Whereas I felt like the rest of the movie is a bit more, I don't know, subtle, I guess. I wouldn't say it's necessarily subtle, but it's more quiet moments that naturally kind of build to things, where this kind of felt like it was trying to build up to this grand reunion sort of thing. And I was just like, I didn't really need it. Honestly, I think the reunion that he had with her when he finds that she's, in the coma kind of felt like the right sort of gut punch, where it's just like, that's his opportunity to say goodbye. I mean,
let it in there. Right.
At that point, he's done everything in service of just trying to be able to find her again, with the slim hope that she's still alive. And, I guess she technically is, but I don't know. To me, it was just like that moment was just like, all right, I really have to let you go now that I can have this moment of finality here. I liked that a lot. I mean, it was sad, obviously. I don't like it in the sense that, like, yeah, sadness is awesome, but I just thought that was the more emotionally resonant moment than him like briefly reuniting with her for like 2 seconds and the simulant and then them blowing up together.
It's unfortunate because he described heaven as being a peaceful place in the sky, and at the end of the movie he's in heaven with his wife before he gets blown up. But maybe it's just because it was so on the nose.
I think that's maybe what it is. It just kind of felt like this feels too convenient, or
right.
something like, where it's just like it just felt like and one more thing that didn't need to be there. Like at that point, I kind of felt like, I don't know, even in the same Last of Us spoilers, I guess. Like like there's a point where Joel has moved on from Sarah, and Ellie's his daughter now, right? And in this, Alfie has kind of become, I mean, I guess it's sort of literally Taylor's daughter in a sort of way in terms of the biology and stuff that I guess was used in her making. But like, I don't know. I just kind of felt like, they've had the moment to say goodbye. He's now formed this new relationship and has, had such a personal arc, going from, oh, they're not real people, it doesn't matter, you can just kill them. Who doesn't? No, it's not. You're not killing anyone.
Right.
Off versus standby. Blah blah blah. I don't know. To me, it just kind of felt like another thing that you didn't need that moment. You'd already had that sort of resolution to that arc between those characters, and this relationship had transitioned from him. Like his motivation has already transitioned from, I want to find my wife if she's still alive, to, I'm protecting this kid at all fucking costs, and I will do whatever it takes, to be there for her and to do the right thing now that I've seen this side of the struggle. So yeah, just a narrative thing where it's just like, okay, I get the conceit, I get why they did it. I just don't know that
it paid off.
Needed to be there. Right. I don't know that it added anything that we didn't already get out of other stuff. So anyway, I think that's probably it for me on spoilers. I don't know if
that's all I got.
That stands out.
Yeah.
Minor complaints, quibbles, etc. I don't think there's anything in here to me, spoiler wise, that was just like, oh, that was really fucking stupid, or anything like that. It was just kind of like, yeah, it could have been sharper. Could have been a little cleaned up or something. I don't know. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed The Creator. Would definitely recommend.
It's a spectacle for sure.
It's a spectacle, and there's enough narrative in there certainly to make it worth your while, I think, overall too. So yeah, I guess there you have it. The Creator.
We've done it.
We have done it. Now we must do other things, such as talk about what's going on in our lives. What's going on in your life? You got fixed AC yet?
No.
Watch anything? What's going on? What's going on in there? Give us the latest.
We're waiting for the unit to be installed. Hopefully, it's installed sometime this week. Okay. That's the game plan.
ASAP, I'm sure, is the hope.
Yeah, I'm tired of having a humid house. I will be happy not to have humidity in the house anymore.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It was a cool day today. I'm wearing long sleeves. We got a a couple days of cool weather, which is nice. We took little Bennett to a pumpkin patch in town. That was fun and very cute. He got to see alpacas and a camel, which was really cool because that was shortly after we recorded our Lawrence of Arabia episode, and I got to see a camel in real life. And I can't say that I've ever seen a camel this close in real life. They're fucking huge.
Do they look like they would be? They look like they'd be comfortable to ride around on.
Yeah, they didn't look too bad actually. But
okay. That's good.
They are tall. They are such a big animal.
Okay.
Anyways,
struggle to get
definitely
climb on. To actually
don't know how
they
don't know how they do that. I don't know how they did it to begin with. Like who ran and jumped on the back of a camel? You know what I mean?
Who decided this was a good idea?
Right. What else have I been up to? Been watching Haunted Hill House or House on the Haunted Hill, whatever the hell it's called, that Flanagan show.
Haunting of Hill House.
That's it.
Is the first one that he did. Yeah. Okay, so I think you were an episode in last we spoke. How far along are you now?
I think I'm 5 or 6 episodes in.
All right, so good chunk further. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're almost done with it. I think that it does an effective job at creating tension. It has a couple of jump scares. Whoa! It makes me jump sometimes, as I'm prone to do.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's kind of it's taking its time getting where it wants to get. The format is you have a general idea of what happened to this family in the first episode, and then it kind of kicks the domino over, at the end of the first episode, and then it kind of explores all the different family members' experience with this house and each other, and the events that happened after, as adults. And it's I think it's a really cool direction that they're going in with the story. I think it's a cool format, especially for a horror show. I'm okay with it taking its time to get there. Makes it a little bit more drama-y than just straight horror filmy, Well,
because, I mean, thinking about it, now, I mean, horror movies are usually under 2 hours. So, like, a long-form storytelling version of horror, like, almost just feels like it has to be kind of built differently.
Yeah, so it's built up like a drama thriller kind of deal with horror. Like I said, you can cut the tension with a knife whenever it wants to build that tension. I think he did a very effective job of using the tension as his ally versus relying on straight horror.
You think tension is your ally?
Very cool. I'm trying to get through it so I can watch Midnight Mass, and I really want to watch The Fall of House Usher. Those are my
yeah. Which I think is now out or
that's
very
right.
soon out. I think
it's out now. I did finish Nocturne.
Okay, how did that wrap up?
Fucking cool. Like it's
okay. All right, I want to watch it. Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I do want to watch it.
It had standard fare kind of Castlevania stuff going on, which is always cool. It's fine. But the way it ended,
was the hype? You want more?
I want more. Yes.
Okay. Is it like the equivalent of that first Castlevania? See, it's obviously longer, but is it kind of the same thing where it's just like, oh fuck you, now I have to wait, like that sort of sensation again, or
kinda, yeah.
Okay,
like it
different,
just,
but
yeah, different, but I mean because it is longer, you know what I mean?
Right, it's more than a bite-sized sort of thing, but
yeah, but still. I mean they once again you've knocked over the first domino, and I am very eager to see what comes next. So finish that. We're almost done with the Hill House show. What else have I been up to? Golly, I think that's really about it.
You start Loki?
I did start Loki. Yep, I did start that.
I haven't started yet. I'm slacking yet again with the Disney Plus stuff, but
finished Ahsoka. Did finish Ahsoka. have thoughts on that. I will say too, season 2 of Loki is off to a very awesome start.
Okay. Good to hear. Yeah.
Very, very cool start. Very excited to see what comes next. Which I think there's 2 episodes out now. I'm behind, but that first episode was aces. Been listening to a book called Heroes, which I think we talked about last time. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I've also been on Total. I think Enrique sent over a Tool drum cover, and ever since then, I haven't been listening to my book as often because I've been listening to a shit ton of Tool. They're just really, really talented band. They can really make some music. But aside from that, those things. Rocket League.
Still going strong on that front, huh?
Yeah, so my sister's boyfriend, Ben, he has discovered Rocket League, and in his discovery, I have rediscovered my love,
your passion,
my affinity for Rocket League. I've
spent hundreds of hours bouncing around, hitting balls and flying around, and
Sarah's kind of overworked, you know what I mean, and so she'll sit on the thing and just like grade papers and stuff, and I don't want to watch a movie with a laptop right next to me, with the light and I can't watch it with her, so Rocket League's good because I can play until she's done and put it up when she's finished, and that's that. Plus if Ben's been playing, so that's always fun too. So replaying the Rocket League, I've 3 versus 3. I think I'm Diamond 2, Division 3 or whatever. I don't know, like 2 stripes in the diamond, and then I am Platinum. In the last level of the Platinum, fixing to be a Diamond in 2v2s. Still prefer 2v2s, but it's hard if you have shitty teammates. So it's like you either perform well.
Actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's really difficult. So, anyways, so I think that's pretty much all I've been up to.
Nice. Then I can say that I haven't been up to a whole lot on my end. So last we spoke, I had finished Star Wars Rebels, so I've been still doing a lot of homework, trying to get ready to really get going on Ahsoka, because we still haven't actually started it, and it makes me sad in my heart.
Yeah.
So we rewatched because we had an inkling that it would be relevant for what comes up during the events of Ahsoka. So I guess very, very mild spoilers. But we rewatched the Mortis arc from the Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Okay.
And that was really cool. And we actually did it. I forgot. We actually did it kind of mid Rebels because they come back around because they're in like
they are in Rebels,
the Jedi Temple on Lothal at the very end. They come back up, and we hadn't watched that in like a couple of years, so we actually rewatched it at that point. So we did watch that 3-episode arc. We are 4 episodes into Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, which obviously is now going back to maybe last year, if not the year before. And so that's got like the 3 episodes about baby Ahsoka, or like, growing up Ahsoka, and then the 3 Dooku-centered episodes. Yeah. So we've seen all the Dooku ones, and then just one of the Ahsoka ones where she was the baby and she gets kidnapped by like the tiger and whatnot. So enjoying that. They're nice and short kind of little things. I think they're pretty cool and fun. I've dug the Dooku ones. We just watched one that had Yaddle, and Yaddle got fucking murdered. So rip to Yaddle. So we got 2 more of that, and then I think that we'll finally be ready to kind of get going on Ahsoka. Like, I think we'll have had like all of the multimedia experience of Ahsoka covered. Well, maybe not multimedia, but at least the TV side of things down pat. I had the thought, I'm like, maybe I should rewatch the episode where she gets, introduced in The Mandalorian, and I'm like, oh man, we just got to fucking watch this show. We're now 2 weeks past, I think, when it finished or whatever. So
yeah,
maybe just 1 week. I can't remember. But yeah, really, really want to start Ahsoka. I think I'm confident in saying that the next time we record a regular episode, we won't be finished probably, but we should hopefully have knocked out a sizable chunk of it. I think with the hope and expectation that we can have a full episode talking about Star Wars Rebels a little bit. Hopefully before the end of the month. I think that's kind of the hope. You know, I think we're anticipating that we'll get sucked in and want to binge it. So hopefully that ends up being the case. You can't guarantee it, obviously, but I think this week, actually, during the weekdays, we should have a bit more free time than we've had. We've done a lot of traveling, so I guess that's really the next thing on the list. Is we've had some busy weekends overall. So over the Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, we had a long holiday weekend. We did a little Northeast trip. Went up to New York for a day, for I guess really for a day and a half. And then from there, we went to Connecticut, visited Anna's friend in Connecticut, in Woodbury, Connecticut, which is a really cute, like New England town. It was a real shit day, but we had a nice meal, went to a brewery. And then that day, we drove up to Worcester, Massachusetts, which is the home of Greater Good Imperial Brewing Company, which is actually what I'm drinking right now. I finished drinking it, but this is the Pulp Daddy. They're an imperial brewing company, so everything they make is 8%. They're all imperials, so everything is 8% or higher in terms of ABV. So they will fuck you up. But they have some really good stuff. They have like a blueberry lemonade sour, which is really, really good. This is a New England IPA, which is quite good. They have a good pumpkin one, so they're like a good variety of styles. And we'd kind of planned on that was a good halfway point because we were gonna shoot over to Boston the following day for a day trip. So that was fun visiting the brewery. We got a case of beer to take back.
There you go.
And we're working on it. We're making a little bit of a dent into it. So so on that Sunday we did a little day trip to Boston to visit one of Anna's bridesmaids. They had just gotten married a couple of weeks ago. I think I talked about that. They got married in New Hampshire. So, when how it is with weddings, you talk to everyone, but you can't talk for long with everyone. So it was nice to have a chance to actually catch up with them. And so we did, hung out, walked around, had an awesome brunch, went to another brewery, lots of breweries apparently, and had enjoyed some nice weather in Boston. And then we went back to New York, and then we went back home. And then once we got back home, I fired up the playoffs, Atlanta Braves, regular season, awesome. Had the best record in baseball. Yeah. And they shit the bed big time.
No.
I assume you at least followed, I would imagine, at least through the Rays, lack of success where they got swept out of the wild card round.
Yes.
Also themselves shit the bed. The Braves lost 3 out of 4 to the Phillies in the exact same fashion that they did last year, which is infuriating because I live in Philly, so I'm surrounded by all the Philly support around me, and it's just like it just sucks because I thought the Braves might learn a lesson from last year and figure out how to do it, but they looked like ass. Just absolute dog shit the entire time. They won one game because they managed to kind of steal it with some late inning heroics, but every other game they looked so listless. It was sad. I don't know what happened. All the 100-win teams looked fucking terrible in the playoffs. So the Orioles got destroyed, the Dodgers got destroyed, the Braves got destroyed. So I don't know. I'm expecting Astros and Phillies World Series again, just because that's the pessimistic part of my brain. It's just like, just give me the worst fucking possible matchup so I can be fucking infuriated the whole goddamn time.
Be done.
But a Rangers Diamondbacks, who are the other two teams left at this point, would be solid. I would tolerate that. I would have no issues with that. Be happy with either team winning. Good for them, So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm still a little bitter because it's just mad about the Braves. Just
in the bed.
Braves fans are used to postseason failure, and they won the World Series a couple of years ago, but they got such a good team. It just feels like, what are they doing out there?
Right.
There's just nothing you can do about it. Just suffer. You can just suffer. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. I think. My hope is next time we record, I'll have a little bit more under my belt in terms of things we've been up to. We're going to a wedding next weekend in State College, PA, which is a few hours away. But other than that, I think we're hoping to have some more downtime to watch shit. I guess I'll say we've watched episodes here and there of ER, but that's more like we need like a not necessarily mindless show, but like you don't need to fully pay attention and lock in sort of show, which is how I feel about Ahsoka. Like I don't want to half watch Ahsoka. Like I put Ahsoka on the TV, I'm all in. So I can go pee, in the middle of the episode and not feel bad about it. Or come back. Are they still alive? The patient's still alive? Yep. All right, cool. That sort of thing. So yeah, that's what's going on here. Not a whole lot, but hopefully more in the future. Hopefully more. Spider-Man 2 is coming out. I talked about playing The Quarry. Still haven't done that yet, but I'd like to be playing some games and stuff too soon. So yeah, we'll see what I've been up to next time around. But I think that's it for now. Let's wrap this up. What do you think?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, I'll say thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to go to patreon.com at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat, yet again, I will say you can get access right now to our Lawrence of Arabia bonus episode. We talked about Lawrence of Arabia, the film. We will be putting up another bonus episode of some sort of historical epic probably in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. You can also get early access to all of our regular episodes there. So I would certainly encourage people to head to Patreon. It's $2 a month. It's not I guess nothing, but it's not much. We don't ask a whole lot, and we try to give you some good value.
Much like Gareth Edwards.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Our budget is it's not our budget, it's your money technically, but a lot for a little. A lot for a little. That's the idea, right? Yeah, totally. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You have links to all of our socials on there. Otherwise, you can head to those social media accounts directly. We are at WRRPod on Twitter, Facebook.com/watchreviewrepeat, and at watchreviewrepeat on Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, we didn't do a listener's corner on this episode, but we could certainly do one on another one. If you've watched some things, seen The Creator, seen other things, seen The Exorcist Believer, apparently it's quite shit. We'd love to hear if it is indeed quite shit.
Yeah.
We could talk about that. So if you got something to say, send it our way. watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Let's see. Intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. So I don't know what we're going to do for our next episode. It's mid-October. It's spooky season's already... I don't want to say it's winding down because you still got 2 weeks of it, but man, it feels like these 2 weeks of October have gone by in a flash for me anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know what we're going to do next. Ahsoka is certainly something we'll get to when I'm done watching it. Obviously, Andrew is not holding us up at all. He's good to go. We talked about doing The Exorcist Believer. Maybe that's a good spooky one to do, but again, apparently it's not very good. So, do we spend 2 hours in a theater doing it? I don't know. Open question. Killers of the Flower and Moon, I think, is coming out this upcoming weekend from when we're recording, and that looks pretty fucking good. But it's also quite long, so it's I don't know. We got options. There's no shortage of options. It's just probably how much of it we get a chance to cover and in what order we cover it in. Plus throwing in a bonus episode here and there. We'll be busy. We'll fit it in. This one, obviously, the creator we were late to the party with it, and that's probably going to be true with whatever else we cover. But that's how it goes. It's better than not doing it at all. Is how I feel about it. So stay tuned. We got options. But the hope is that we are able to cover most, if not all, of those in some fashion. So yeah. All right. Well, Mr. Meadows, I think it's your time. Show them the door.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Menjay.